All right, and we're back. I don't know what happened there. We got cut off, but we are back. We are live again, um, and let's pick up where we left off. So I wanted to paint a picture for the audience in terms of the younger millennials, and so it's debatable, I guess. I don't know all the you know. Hardcore terminology that the professionals use, but I believe a millennial is someone that's born from between the years of early 1980s to the mid 1990s. I've read some articles that say even the early 2000s would include the millennial
Right.
generation. But I mean, Bray, one, you would agree there's a clear difference between our millennial generation and kind of this second wave of millennial generation, right?
Yeah, like there's a difference between so if you're a millennial and you're born before, let's just say 1987 or something,
Mm-hmm.
you're definitely different from a millennial who was born in even the late 80s to 90s. You know what I mean? Like
It,
even the late 80s, I'd say.
and why
But
would
if
you say
you're
that?
because if you were born like especially because I don't remember what the starting year is for millennials. It's like
1980.
either 82.
I think it's 19. They say the early months of 1980.
Okay, so 1980. So I mean, like if you're born in 1980, you know, to 1986, I'd say
Mm-hmm.
like you're you're definitely an older millennial, so you saw a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Especially 1980, because you were 10 by the time 1990 rolled around. You know what I mean?
I think
So
you.
you, yeah.
Well, I agree with you. I see where you're taking it, and I would say that even beyond '86, I would say closer towards like
Mm-hmm.
early '90s, maybe mid '90s, where like because I you and myself, I can remember times before having access to computers. Not even like daily
Yeah,
access to computers. I'm
yeah,
talking like you could go to school and actually be able to use a computer if you took a class. You know what I mean? Um,
right, right.
but yeah. So like, I think really that's like people what we're trying to distinguish between is our generation where like we grew up without computers and it wasn't until a certain age where like we became familiar with them to the generation that grew up with computers and they like it was just part of their life,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
there's a clear gap in between that, and I think that you and I are in a unique stage, or like we were born at a unique parts in our lives where we've experienced life without the computer and the smartphone uh, wave, and
Mm-hmm.
we've been young enough to adapt to that new wave of technology that's come out. Um, and so yeah, I guess we can start to share some of that. Um,
Well,
so
yeah. I mean, like, go on.
well, I was gonna so let's go back to the I'm really interested in the social aspect of where technology has taken us, and so let's go back into Bray One's let's call it middle school sweetheart. You've gotten the phone number of a girl that you're interested in, and you got to do what now? Like you have the phone number, and what happens now after this?
Well, obviously, you call the phone number, which is interesting because usually the mom or dad would answer,
And
and
what did that
then
feel like? That because see that's something I'm glad
yeah,
that you brought that up because that's a indescribable feeling. Like almost, I don't think that you can actually create that feeling, that nervousness. I don't know. Did you ever get
mm-hmm.
nervous, or were you always cool and calm?
Of course, I got a little nervous, man. I mean, I was a kid, so I didn't know what to expect. But yeah, I got nervous because, believe it or not, I was more nervous to talk to the girl than I was the parents.
Hmm.
I wasn't even thinking like that. When you get older though, you think more about, oh man, the parents. Holy crap. When
Hmm.
you're a kid, you're not really thinking about the parents. You're just thinking about the girl. So I wasn't really worried about the parents or anything like that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, you'd call the girl's house, and the parents would usually answer. Not all the time, because I remember one girl, I called her, and she's the one who picked up the phone. So there's a good chance she knew I was going to be calling her.
Hmm.
It's you're in middle school. I mean, I don't know how the middle schoolers are nowadays. I hear they're pretty bad, but when I was in middle school, you're still pretty much like a little kid. So
Hmm.
it was kind of innocent, but like I'm gonna call you later on tonight, or I'm gonna call you on Saturday, you
And
know.
I guess the interesting thing is, I think that feeling or that that aspect is something
Right,
that we share with older people, like people like our
right,
parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents,
exactly.
like ever since the telephone was invented and became
Right,
mainstream, that feeling, that those emotions, those like even just something simple like telling your parents like, hey, I'm going to be here and here at such and such a time, and you gotta
yeah,
be there at that time because there is no text, there is no like adjustment of like, hey, I'm running late. No, you have to be there, otherwise people are waiting for you, right? um, I feel
yeah,
like
man.
that is something that we share with the much older generation. Ever since the telephone was actually implemented, became mainstream, and everyone had a telephone, where there is a complete that emotion and those experiences. And this is why I say like we're really
Right,
at a unique place in time where we recognize that we've felt that we can relate to someone in the 1930 40s, like
yeah,
you know what I mean, like saying, hey,
right,
I'm gonna call you at this time, or I'm gonna be here at this time, and make sure you
right,
pick me up, that kind of thing. We can relate to that, where the younger millennials cannot at all, because they've had smartphones, they've had texting throughout their entire life, so they have no concept of you have to be on time, or like you have to be where you say you're
exactly.
going to be, or do what you say you're
Yeah,
going to
because
have to do.
we caught the tail end of that old system.
Hmm.
We caught the end of it, and then
I'm happy we
we
did.
caught the dawn of the new era of communication and stuff like that,
Hmm.
and we were aware of it. It wasn't like we were just born into it. It's like we were alive and cognitive when the old way of communicating was still done. So we saw it, we partook in it,
Hmm.
and then we also saw the new way of communications evolve. Really, we saw it evolve in front of our eyes. Because I remember when my parents got their first set of cell phones in the 90s, these big bricks.
Oh, I remember.
These
With like
huge bricks.
the antennas, you had to pull the antenna out. It was like
Oh
a
yeah,
foot long.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, dude.
Yep.
Yep, those things were huge, man. And not only those cell phones, but pagers as well.
Oh,
We had
pagers.
pagers,
Go ahead
which were,
and go
which
ahead and
were,
educate everyone
yeah,
on a pager. How does it? All right, say you're at work right now, and I gotta like get a hold
yeah,
of my buddy Bray One, and uh,
yeah,
and he's got to get a hold of me. So how are you doing it? How are you
yeah.
contacting me with a pager?
It's simple. You page the person you're trying to get a hold of,
How do you
so
page
that
them?
way they know that you. It's simple. It's kind of it works similar to a phone. Like
Hmm.
you send a page to that phone number. Well, your pager has its own phone number, its own number.
Exactly. Yep. So
So you send a page to
you
that number, and
you
then it
at,
gives you a beep and lets you know who it's from.
right. So
What
like,
phone number that page was from.
well,
Yeah.
from my memory, it was you had to call the pager number, and then once it
Right.
once it connected, you would hear the beep,
Mm-hmm.
and then once you heard the beep, you put your phone number, or the number that you wanted the person to call you
Right.
back, is the number that you would put
Right.
in. You would dial, literally dial it into the phone, and then that would pop
Yep.
up on the other side on the pager as the number to call. So like from a pager, from the guy or the person, controlling the page or receiving the page, would
Right.
see the number to call that the user would put in. That's
Exactly.
how. I mean, that is. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. That's how it works, man.
Like
Yeah.
that's insane. Like the kids nowadays, they wouldn't last
Yeah.
2 seconds doing that. They,
No.
the
No, they
patience.
wouldn't, dude.
Oh my god! You like page someone, they hadn't called you back like in like maybe 10, 20 minutes. You're like, God damn it! Like did they did they get my page? I gotta page them again.
Well, that's what's so interesting about it too, man. Because remember, because the technology was different back then. So
Hmm.
you got the page. Now you got to make a phone call. Well, like I said, we don't have cell phones at this point, so you had to get to a phone, whether it's a pay phone. If you're at school or something, and it was like an emergency, you have to actually teach you, like, hey, I need to make a call to my parents because whatever, or whatever.
Exactly. Hmm. That's right. That's right. Yep. And so even that, like I remember, so like paging was like I remember feeling somewhat impressed by the connectivity that you had. Like where before it was kind of like, okay, if somebody was not by the phone, uh, I mean, the answering machine was used. Like I mean, even the answering machine, man, like that was really fun. Like we used to have fun making like the messages for answering machine. Like now we have voicemail and everything, but get the whole family involved in making a message on the voice and your oh, it was fun. It was fun. That's awesome. Yep. Well, it was, and that message was something that was unique because it represented your household. Like that message was symbolic of who you were as a family. So it was really, there was a lot more character, I think. You know, and I would say, it it takes a lot more guts to do what we used to do with meeting someone new back in the day compared to how people meet each other nowadays. Like if you wanted to get a
Very
girl's
true.
phone number, you had to ask her. I mean that's like,
Yeah.
I know it sounds easy, but not when you're in the situation.
Yeah, because another thing too is you had to actually talk to them on the phone too. It wasn't like nowadays you can give someone your phone number, and you don't have to talk to them on the phone. You could just text, you know.
Yep.
So there's not as much pressure there. But when you had to actually talk on the phone, you had to have stuff to talk about when you called this person. You could just call like, you know.
I
With a
agree.
text message, you could sit there and think about what you want to respond with, and all kinds of crap.
Very true.
You could send each other YouTube links and pictures or whatever the heck. But back in those days when you had to make a phone call, it was just you and her talking.
That's
That
right.
was your conversation. You had to make a conversation. You had to make a connection.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, things
That's
are
right.
completely different. And I mean, these younger children, and not children, but like kids who are like in their early 20s and stuff like that. I don't think they're going to fully understand that. I mean, I'm sure there's some of them out there who do, you know,
Hmm.
but I want to say the majority of them, especially in this country, probably will never understand that, you know.
It. I think the point that I guess articulate is that you couldn't hide behind technology where like now, like you're saying, like you can send a text, like you can even avoid people nowadays through technology where like you can still, like, say your boss is calling you and you can ignore the phone call and just text them, you know. Just ignore the phone call and you can just text them, um, opposed to years ago, like you had no idea uh, who was calling you on the other end until
Right.
caller ID came out. But like you can really technology has allowed you to kind of like hide behind it where you can just
Yeah.
text somebody and you don't have to worry about you can screen their phone calls if you want to. I'm not saying that I do this, but you can screen a phone call and say, hey, I'm busy right now, through a text, and it's just completely different.
Yeah. It is. It is. I mean, like, and that's the cool thing with like us. You know, we got to see all that stuff change. You know, from the old way to the new way. You know, and I mean, like, you
Right.
might still meet old people out there who don't use smartphones or anything because
Hmm.
they just haven't caught on to this new technology. You know, they miss the old way. You know,
Right. Right.
it was a simpler time, I would say. You know,
I agree.
but I'm glad that we got to see that change also.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Um, no, it is very unique. So, what was the next phase after we went through what was the next phase of technology that kind of connected, that had an impact on social interactions?
Clearly, the internet, man. You know, wow, the internet. Now, let's talk about the internet for a second, because at first, you know, it was dial up, and it wasn't like it is now. Let's just say that, you know,
Hmm. Right. Right.
the internet back in like the late '90s and stuff. That's when I started using it. It was real slow. First, you know, so since it was dial-up internet, and remember, the main means of communication back then was landline telephone. If
Hmm.
you decided to get onto the internet, that usually hogged up your phone line. You know,
Yep. So you.
unless your family had a separate internet phone line. You know,
Right. Right.
which
Exactly.
we didn't. We didn't have that. So
No.
anytime we wanted to go online, it was like, hey, mom and dad, I need to go online, or I want to go online. Or they'd be like, hey, you know, you can go online for 30 minutes right now, you know?
Hmm. Hmm. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So essentially, what you're saying, what Bray One's saying is that you couldn't be on the phone and on the internet at
No,
the same time. So if somebody was
we could.
calling, um,
Yeah.
I can even remember my parents saying, like, this was like later in high school. Don't be on the phone, or don't be on the internet at such and such a time because we're expecting a
Yeah.
phone call.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I mean, oh, man. I haven't even thought about that in a while, bro. Like,
Yeah.
just thinking of back on those times and just how different things are now, man. I mean, you and I are on the internet. You know, I got my phone right next to me. You know, I can make a call. I could text people. I could I could pull up web pages right now. You and I are still talking to each other live. You know, it's crazy, man.
Hmm.
Compared to those times, you know.
I agree. I agree. Here's a question for you.
What's going on,
What's
man?
the do you remember the first website you ever visited?
Huh. I mean, I remember using uh, AOL first and foremost, because that's of course what our internet defaulted to.
Mm-hmm.
First, we had America Online. That was like how you got online. So
Mm-hmm.
you go after you log into AOL and it goes through the dial-up process and all that good stuff. You're online. You're on the AOL homepage.
Mm-hmm.
But do I actually remember the first web page I went to? No,
No.
because when I first started using it, it was under the supervision of my parents. And it
Mm-hmm.
was only to like look up information and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I really don't remember, man.
So
Do you?
I do remember vividly as well. Like,
Oh,
so
okay.
I we didn't really the internet and computer fad didn't reach my household until years after it became popular. So like we didn't
Mm,
really
okay.
get I didn't get a laptop until I think I was maybe I want to say geez, I want to say a senior in high school was when I first got a laptop, and we didn't have internet at the time at home,
Mm,
and so,
okay.
but I can remember my first occurrence with the internet was in eighth grade, um, and so yeah, so like I didn't have internet at the house, from eighth grade all the way until like roughly my senior year of high school, um,
Wow.
and so um, what I do remember, and I think that the reason why it left an impact on me because we were actually doing some type of research project. It was for a political science class I was taking in eighth grade, um,
Okay.
and I remember. So we were tasked with doing some kind of research, some political kind of research, and we went. So we basically were allowed to go to the library. So we're all, basically all of us are at the library, and it came to be my turn to use one of the computers, um, and I remember thinking to myself, okay, well, what's a better website to go to for politics than the whitehouse.com? And I'm pretty sure you remember this early on. So
Oh
I
yeah.
I typed in www.whitehouse.com, and all of a sudden
Right.
a pair of boobs pop up, these huge titties pop up on the website. So I'm in eighth
Oh
grade
man.
in the public library, and I look I literally shit my pants like like what's going on here? Like I'm
Like
just
you
this like
actually had doo doo in your pants.
yeah,
Oh,
like I pooped my pants. I
okay.
was I was like shit, I was like what is going on here? Like I swear, like I mean maybe you could say I'm a
Yeah,
pervert, but like I swear
you
I was
are.
an innocent kid at that point, and had no idea that I was going to some porn website, and
Yeah.
it was like a raunchy porn site too. It wasn't like like Playboy or something. It was like more along the lines of Hustler, like and
Yeah.
and luckily nobody, like I freaked out for a second and I looked around, nobody was watching me. So then I looked at the website a little bit deeper,
Of course.
and
Why wouldn't you?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Heck yeah, man.
But yeah,
Yeah,
so
dude.
the whitehouse.com used to be a porn site. I don't know what it is now, but um, I don't think it is
I
a.
do remember that now that you mention
Yeah.
that. But that's hilarious, man. But me, man, I really didn't like actually start using the internet a lot until high school, man. And for me, I want to say I really started using it a lot. I think my sophomore year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been, let's see, 1999.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's when I really first started using it, man. And
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
primarily using it at school because at home, I was pretty much restricted to just so there's only so much I could use the internet for at home.
Yep. Yep.
Plus, it also tied up the phone line, so I couldn't use it very much anyway. So I really started using it at school. Once like I don't remember. I think I needed it for like research and stuff like that. But once I realized I could go to like bet.com
Oh
or
yeah.
mtv.com and like stream videos, because that was actually a fairly new thing at the time,
See, that's a good point that you raised, because
Yeah. Yeah.
YouTube has been around since I can remember, but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't as popular as it was back then as it is now.
No.
And so I can
Yeah.
remember, like going to bet.com or
Right.
MTV, VH1.com, those kind of sites to listen to music and to watch actual videos and stuff, because a lot of that stuff wasn't on YouTube. Like YouTube was mainly just foolish little videos and whatnot, right?
Right. Right.
Um,
And yeah, man, honestly, I didn't discover YouTube until like I want to say about 2000 and either 04, 05, somewhere around there.
what's your
And
earliest
that's when I just
what's your earliest memory of YouTube of YouTube video?
dude, I have no idea, bro. I really have no idea, man. Because when I discovered YouTube, like I just started looking at all kinds of things. So I could not tell you. I really couldn't, man.
I know that's a tough question. One of my earliest
Yeah.
memories that I can remember. I know that this isn't the earliest. I'm sure, like, if I
Right.
thought about it, I could probably think of something that was earlier than this. But one of the more vivid memories, earlier memories I have of YouTube was this, and like you're saying, like 1999, 2000. Um,
Yeah.
the Star Wars movies were just coming back, right? Like, so what was it, episode 4, I think, right? Came out in 1999.
Okay.
I think. Is that correct?
Well, you mean actually would have been episode 1.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So
Yeah.
the fourth movie, but episode 1, right? Was that
Right.
19? It was like 1999 or 2000 or something like that, right?
Yeah, man. I was like,
And
yeah, 98, 99, something
yeah,
like that.
and so one of the earliest YouTube memories I have was my buddy showing me this Star Wars rap, and it was so hilarious. Like, I remember just like cracking up, like somebody made this like spoof of a rap, and it was like,
Yeah.
it was a Star Wars theme, and like Yoda was rapping, and come to Dagobah, and it was just really.
Oh, yeah.
I
I
don't know
remember that.
if you ever seen that one, but yeah, that was.
Yeah, but see, back then, man, before YouTube, because like I said, I don't remember YouTube before 2005. So
Mhm.
back before then, there was all these other websites that we used to go to find like comedy videos and stuff like that. So we were watching a bunch of videos and stuff like that online, but it wasn't on YouTube.
Mhm.
It was on other websites and stuff like that.
You had to search for it.
I wish you did, and you had to know these websites. I wish I could remember some of those websites because those were the frequent places to go to. Just like there used to be a website you could go to look at really messed up things, augerish.com. You can
Oh.
look at like deceased people from war, people who got killed in car accident, all
Oh
kinds of
shit! I've never heard of that.
disturbing things. It's old, man. Like that's what we were looking at back in like 03, 04. There are all kinds of sites, man, to look at things. So I mean, videos and all that stuff had evolved at that point, like 02, 03, 04. But I remember like 05 or something with YouTube, man. When YouTube came around, it's like, holy crap, that was awesome.
Yeah. Mhm.
So many videos, like all those videos we used to find on all these different websites. Like, not all of them, but you could find some of them on YouTube, plus all the stuff that people were putting on YouTube. And the cool thing about YouTube is just regular people uploading videos, so it's kind of really really cool. And then people started putting music videos, so it's like
See,
you didn't
yeah,
you didn't have to go to the like MTV or
exactly.
whatever
Yeah,
to look
yep.
at. You could go to YouTube and find music. It's like,
Hmm.
what? This thing
Hmm.
is awesome, you know?
Yeah,
It's so
it,
crazy talking about this right now, man, because
I
it's
agree.
like, you know,
I
like
agree.
these young kids,
Oh, we take it
they
for
they
granted,
would
man.
not,
We
yeah,
we take it for granted. Like, we're using YouTube right now to stream
mhm,
a podcast. Like, really, YouTube
yeah.
is a website that I use a lot,
Oh,
and
bro, I
um,
know,
it's
I
just the
know.
kind of thing where like it really connects the common person to another common person, where before you didn't
It
have that. And
does.
um, you
Yeah.
know and I think really there was like this big even with the YouTube era, there was like pre Google and then post
Oh yeah.
Google purchase. Like, before, I don't know if a lot of
Yeah.
people know that, but yeah, like, because you can remember that, like, when Google
Hmm.
purchased YouTube, I remember thinking like, holy smokes, I didn't, YouTube's becoming really popular, and
Right.
but before that, it was popular, but it was like you were saying, it was more like home video kind of things. Like,
Right.
now
Right.
you can Google whatever, like just about anything you can imagine is on YouTube. Where
Right.
how to fix something to uh, you know uh, Bruno Mars's new song or something. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. Yeah.
and so yeah, it's just like a hub for everything now, and it has its advantages, in the sense of, like I said, it connects people, but also I mean, I've used YouTube to fix numerous things in my house, and
Yep.
or in my apartment. I mean,
Yep.
and on my car, like, it basically allows you to kind of have the knowledge of anything that you're willing to question.
That's true. Yeah. Anything you can think of, for the most part, you can usually find a video that relates to it. You know.
Right. I
But you'd mentioned something. You'd mentioned pre-Google, and that actually had me thinking about high school again. You know, and I wanted to kind of discuss some things because when I was in high school, once again, the internet still wasn't, to what it is right now. You know,
hmm
so I vividly remember, especially like especially my senior year of high school, which was '01 to 2002. I remember talking to my friends and the girls I liked on AOL Instant Messenger. That
hmm
used to be
hmm
that used to be the thing, man.
Oh yeah.
That chat rooms back then were the hots. Like, people probably take chat rooms for granted nowadays. Maybe not, because I know there's things like chat roulette and stuff like that. But it's not the same as it was back in those days. 'Cause chat rooms was where it was at,
It
man.
it was. I think I agree with you. I think it was the first stage of texting.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because my senior year I had a cell phone, man, but it didn't have text messaging on it.
And
Even
even
though the new phones with text messaging capabilities were coming out, so a
it,
few
but
people had them.
if you remember though, text messaging was more of a hassle and more of a
Hmm.
like it was the kind of thing where like you only did it if you had to, because
Yeah.
if you remember, it was 10 cents per
Yeah.
text.
Oh yeah.
Like,
So yeah.
like, it actually, the phone
Yeah.
companies charged you 10 cents per text up to 180
Yeah.
characters. I remember.
Things. Oh man, things are so different now. Holy
Yeah,
crap. Yeah. Now, like, any phone plan you buy, text
unlimited.
messaging is usually unlimited.
Yeah, yeah. I bet you a
But
lot of people question like
yeah.
what that means, like unlimited text. Like, what it
I
texts have always been
yeah,
unlimited.
I think the younger people will question it. They won't understand that,
Hmm.
Like, they'll see that and probably not even think about it, like, okay,
Like,
whatever,
text
but
messages have always been unlimited.
no, they haven't.
Yeah, they used to
Like,
charge
oh,
you.
listen to old Pepe Ray Wonder, him
Yeah,
saying about the old days,
yeah, right.
early 2000s. Turn of the century, But yeah, it was different back then. Not only was text messaging a new thing, it was also expensive as heck. So it's not like you couldn't have a text messaging conversation like you do nowadays. and
You,
you wouldn't want to.
yeah, you wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
Like
No. It's like we just did it, yeah, just to send a quick message to someone like, hey, meet me here or whatever. You
call,
know, it was never a conversation though.
call me in 10 minutes or something, like, because like,
Exactly. Yeah.
like a phone call was still a lot easier than a text, where now, like, even like, do you remember the T9 texting?
Yeah.
Like, that was a big thing, and oh my God, you could not get me to text T9 right now. Like, that would be absolutely, I would never do it right now. And and I remember that was like an advancement, and thinking like, oh, this is so much better than the old version of text that we had. Because like, I imagine your cell phone with like hard buttons, right? And if you want to type the letter B, you have to type you have to hit the one key twice to get to the letter B, and then if you wanted to type the E, you'd have to hit that once, and on the number 5 or whatever. I think it's number 5. And then so imagine typing out a text like that. Like, oh my God, it just took forever.
Yep, I remember those days.
Now
I actually got real fast at it too.
Yeah, but still, like, that compared to how you text now, I mean, you wouldn't.
Oh yeah.
There's no way you could go back, right? I mean, there's no way that you could.
Because our phones now, they're not phones; they're pocket computers.
Right.
Like these are not cell phones; these are pocket computers.
I agree.
That is what they are. You can still get a cell phone. Like if you get a cheap flip phone or something like that. That operates pretty much just like they used to operate back in the early to mid 2000s and stuff. So if you want to get nostalgic, go on ahead and go get yourself like one of those flip phones. Those kind of travel back in time.
The people like
these
that do that like to hit themselves in the face, I imagine.
I don't know, man. Well, you know what? Honestly, a few years ago, man, I had one of those. It was my backup phone that I used when I worked in the oil industry. It was like my other phone I had, because with AT&T where I was at, I didn't have good reception, so I bought myself a cheap prepaid Verizon phone because it had better coverage out there. And like I said, it was just a regular old flip phone, man. It was just like, so, and that was a few years ago. So, I mean, they're still out there. You can still buy them. They're good if you just need a phone, Like, you just need a phone.
Right.
Just
something that you can...
But they're not like our smartphones or anything like that.
Not even close, yeah. Like that I think that's the big thing, is like there was a huge distinction between a mobile phone into a cell phone and then into a smartphone. Like there's like, like I honestly, I think the best way that I could describe it now is our smartphones that we have now. The calling feature is literally just an app.
Yeah.
Like
man.
It's like one of hundreds, of apps on your phone, or maybe not hundreds, but tens of apps on your phone. And years ago, like that was the main feature. Like it was the calling, and then maybe you could have a game like what's that game, like Snake? Do you remember Snake?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Snake. You could have that on the phone or something.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. It was a phone back then. These right here, I tell people all the time, like, this is not a phone.
Right.
This is a pocket computer. That is what it is. Like, it's a pocket computer that can also make phone calls, but it wasn't like how it is now. And that actually, I wanted to discuss something because when I was in college, my freshman year, man, we were still formatting floppy disks.
Oh, floppy disks.
You know what I mean?
Holy
and like,
smokes.
Dude, do you think these young kids? I don't even know if they know what a floppy disk is. They might.
No, I don't think so. Like, you might get a couple kids that know, but if you mention floppy disk, I'm pretty sure. Why don't you go ahead and describe what a floppy disk is?
Oh man, I mean, a floppy disk is an old piece of hardware shaped like a square, you know, and it saved all of your files basically. So not all of your files had limited storage, but
I
that's
was
what
going
you
to ask you.
saved.
That was my next
Yeah.
question. Is what was the
Oh my
storage
god.
capacity of a floppy disk?
I don't remember, man. All I know is you had to have a case of floppy disk, basically. So let's say you had like a long ass paper, you know, you had to have like 4 or 5 floppy disks, you know. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like dude, I don't even remember anymore because it's just, you know, I put it out of my head after I moved on from floppy disks, you know. All I know is I remember carrying a whole case of them, you know,
Yep.
to store multiple papers and stuff like that. And then I remember, man, I distinctly remember, I still remember this day because my mind was blown. I was sitting in the computer lab, you know, at my college, and I think I was a sophomore at this point. Um, and I saw this guy plug a little stick into the computer, into the USB port. I'm looking at it like, what the heck is that? So I asked him, you know, I'm like, hey, dude, what is that thing? He's like, oh, this, man, this is my flash drive. I'm like, what's your flash drive? It's like, this is where I keep all my files. I was like, what? I was like, you keep all your files on that thing? He's like, yeah, man. And I'm like, do you have to format that? Or he's like, no. He's like, watch, you know, I can just drag files in here and then open them. I was like, what? You know? So at that moment, I was like, oh my god.
It was
Like,
so
my mind is
crazy.
just blown. Yeah, dude,
I
like, my
remember.
mind had just been blown because at the same time, there was zip disk drives, and that was kind of like that tried to replace floppy disks,
Uh
but
huh. Uh huh.
zip disks weren't
Yep.
that popular. It was
Well,
a
I did a quick
yeah.
Google search to figure out how much memory a floppy disk. You wanna venture a guess as to how much memory you could store on a floppy disk?
Let's see. Hmm.
I'll give you a hint. It's not much.
All right, 256 kilobytes. I don't remember, man. I really don't. What
Wait,
was it?
you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
1.44
Oh,
megabytes.
oh my god. Yeah, it
Megabytes.
was. It was low. It was low. Yeah.
Holy smokes, man.
And now you have now you have cloud storage. You don't even have to worry about a a thumb drive anymore, man.
Right?
You know, you can store everything in the cloud now. You know,
Right? Right? Yep.
like things are just so different now. And the funny thing is, you and I, we aren't old guys at all. You know, like we're still young guys, and
True.
it's just cool that we saw that technology change over like that, you know? Like we saw this stuff. So there are like people older than us who still don't grasp all the new technology, you know?
Definitely.
And then there are people younger than us who don't understand the old technology. We understand the old technology and the new technology, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
we're that cool we're the cool portion of this era, you know, like we got to see both sides and understand both sides too, you know, not just see it. We got to understand both sides. So it's
Right.
really cool, you
Right.
know.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what are some of the social impacts from technology that you've seen
Oh wow.
throughout the evolution of our lifespan of technology, like in the realm of social media and relationships. What are some of the impacts that you've witnessed throughout your life?
Well, you just said it, man. I mean, social media itself, you know, that's a huge one.
Do
We've
you,
already kind of discussed cell phones, so
do
you
you
know,
care
smartphone.
do you care to
Or what's up?
take it a step further? Like like what about social
Yeah.
media changed?
Yeah, so first and foremost, let's get into social media a bit. So, I mean, back in the day, the first forms of social media partook in was like, of course, AOL Instant Messenger. I guess you could say that's a form of it. But then there are forums that I remember doing forums and stuff like that, where you posted a picture of yourself, you had like a little brief description, and then on these forums there'd just be different topics and you could comment on them and stuff like that. Let's fast forward a little bit to the mid 2000s. MySpace. MySpace was very revolutionary.
Oh, it was so cool too.
Right, right.
It was so much better than Facebook.
It was cool because MySpace, you had your own individual page, and then you could customize it with backgrounds, borders, and then you could customize it with music.
Add your own music video. Yeah.
Yeah, add your own music, whatever. Like you got to customize your own page. So when people came to your page, it's like, man, I'm on, Big Fish 45's profile right now, like, and it's cool, man. I mean, like, it was cool. And MySpace was cool. You could find your friends, whoever had a MySpace, of course. You could find them, and, just like you do on Facebook and stuff like that, send messages to each other, yada yada yada, share pictures, whatever.
Well, I don't think a lot of people realize that Facebook started out where it was in competition with MySpace, but it was a lot less customizable, like you're saying. Like you could have a background, you could have things pop up. Like I remember at one point my MySpace had like a midnight theme where I had the moon, like it was a nighttime background with a full moon in the background, and a song by oh god, it was an R&B group, 112. You remember 112?
Oh yeah.
And so like people would pop onto that my page, and that song would start playing. Like it was a totally different experience. And then I remember, so if you recall, like Facebook was exclusive in the sense that you could, in the early years of Facebook, you could only join Facebook if you had an active school email. So you had essentially, like, you had to be part of a university in order.
You had to be a college student, and you had to get invited too.
And you had to get invited. That's right. Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't like it is now. Now Facebook's kind of like MySpace in the sense anyone can join.
I still think MySpace was cooler though.
Sure, because the customization, Yeah, MySpace will always be better than Facebook in that sense, The fact that you can customize, your MySpace page and stuff like that. That's just something Facebook never did,
I agree.
Yeah. I agree, man. So I mean, it's just interesting where we came from and where we're at now, Because the funny thing now is I'm finding myself using less and less social media,
Me too.
Meanwhile, social media is still like exponentially growing. There's
right.
Yeah, there's all these different sites now. There's so many different things.
Here's like a question for you.
Using less and less. What's up?
Do you remember how often you used an encyclopedia years ago?
Oh, like a physical encyclopedia?
Like before internet became like really popular. Yeah, like it was the Wikipedia of the world. Except, I mean, it was probably a little bit more reputable. Like, I mean, Wikipedia is useful, but I wouldn't like, if you look something up on Wikipedia, a lot of times you got to make sure, you got to double check and kind of like check sources. But the encyclopedia was it was kind of like a more professional version of Wikipedia, but it was, if you can imagine, these thick ass books, like,
sure,
like A through Z, there'd be like maybe 15 books, and they'd be split. It'd be like A, and then like J would like it'd be MN. They'd like combine MNO or something, and you basically look up your topic by alphabetical order, and so you'd have like 15 to like 20 of these encyclopedia books that are all like 3 inches thick. And
then it depended on the volume too, man. Because remember, sometimes you go to the library and they only had up to a certain year.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
You're
So
right. And then,
just
oh,
things you don't even worry about nowadays. Yeah. You know.
I agree. I mean, it was the kind of thing where, like, years ago, if you had a question, you either had to talk it out, or you had to, like, stop your conversation and go grab an
Sure.
encyclopedia or a book or something. Like, you'd have to, like, I mean, there was a lot more
Yeah.
arguments back then. Where, like, nowadays it's kind of like, if you and I forget what happened on such and such date, well,
Sure.
we literally just Google it. Like, it's insane.
Sure can. And that's one of the things about nowadays that kind of pisses me off. The sense that it's not so much that we have the access to that information. It's
Hmm.
the fact that you have people who do ask stupid questions nowadays. Because it's like, I know there's that saying, "There's no such thing as a stupid question," but no,
Oh,
it's
there
like
is.
when you have a pocket computer that will answer that question for you.
Hmm.
What are you doing asking me? It's like,
Hmm.
what are you doing asking anybody? Look it up. You know,
Well,
come on.
I think I think you're touching on a topic that I truly believe in right now, which is,
Yeah.
you have this sense of increasing of computing power, and
Right.
technology is exponentially becoming better, or more advanced, anyways. Um, but yet people, I would say, are not any smarter. In probably on average, I don't have anything to back me up saying this, but on
Mm-hmm.
average, I would probably say we're dumber as a human species than the average person,
Right.
or average person was, back in the 50s or 60s. Just because, like, you
Even
look at,
done
like,
that.
people like I like to use my grandfather for example. um, by the time he was in his mid 20s, he had already built a house. He had built a boat. He had a family going. He had a full time job. Like, doing stuff like building a boat, building a house. That kind of stuff is really fascinating to me. And I don't know anyone that's built a boat. Like an actual, like, wooden boat with a propeller and an engine and everything in it, like an actual,
Right.
that you could take out into the ocean, kind of thing. Um,
I
Not to
built
say
a
that you.
plastic boat.
What's that?
Said I built a plastic boat.
I do
You
remember
know.
that. That is pretty epic. And you floated down a stream, down a river as well. That was pretty cool.
Yep.
We,
Sure
we
did.
should we should definitely post that video on the channel at some point. That was hilarious.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. You
Yeah,
know,
that was
but
pretty
it
cool.
was cool. It was
Yeah,
cool, whether I posted or not. Like, it was a cool boat.
I agree. That
Either
was
way.
really cool. But it was. I mean, it's just the kind of thing where, like, I don't doubt that you and I could build a boat, but we
Oh yeah.
haven't. And so I guess what I'm just trying to get at here is that you would think that with such advancement in technology, and such where the information is literally at your disposal. If you want to know something, for the most part, you just have to get your smartphone out, Google it. It'll take you literally
Yeah.
30 seconds to Google something, and then you can start
Sure.
learning about it. Where years ago you had to, like, go to the library or go to your
Yeah.
encyclopedia. It took time. Like, if you had a question, you had to, like, write it down so you didn't forget, and then
Right.
in that
Right.
um, and so I guess the point I'm trying to get at is that you would think, with the ease of knowledge or information being available, that people would be smarter. I don't think that's the case. I kind of think there's been, like, this reverse effect where people have become a lot lazier, and
Yeah.
a lot more. Now, I know a lot of people like you and myself and a couple of my friends that are constantly Googling things just to try to figure it out. And, like, uh, you know, like, there's this new fad that I've become familiar with, where people are, instead of throwing away electronics and devices of all nature, they're trying to build the culture around fixing the
Hmm.
device instead of just tossing it away. So there are people out there, like, DIYers that try to do things on their own, but I don't think the DIY community is as big as it was years ago.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. Back in the day, most people were DIYs, do it yourselfers. They're building their own homes.
Mm-hmm.
building their own boats, all kinds of things,
Mm-hmm.
fixing their own cars. And things are different though, because I mean,
Bless you.
excuse me. Look at cars from like the 60s and 70s. You open that engine bay, anyone with hand, you got all these sensors, man. You don't have as much room to work on things. Like, so in a way, it's like things have changed too. I
Mm-hmm.
want to say, because you talk to older people, they're like, it was just a simpler time,
True.
and in a way, they're right. Like things are easier to work on. They weren't as complex as some of the things we have now.
You're right.
You
You're
know,
right. Mm-hmm.
just life in a sense was simpler because look at all the stuff we have now. Look at all the technology and how it ties into our life.
Mm-hmm.
Just things are different now. Like things things exist now that didn't exist back in those days. So
Right.
times really were simpler in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why more people were do-it-yourselfers as well. Because I don't know. It's just it was a simpler time. Um, Also, the way things are now, like with stores and stuff like that, it's like to build your own or fix it yourself or whatever. There's a lot of services that are available now. Just all kinds of conveniences we have nowadays that they didn't have back in the day. So I
Absolutely.
mean, it's you have to really look at it with a, you know, I don't know. You've really got to look at it with a broad view and kind of look at both, the old way and the new way, and understand kind of
Mm-hmm.
and really analyze how things were done back then and how things are done now and why. What do we have they don't have, and things like that.
Right. I agree.
I don't
I
know.
I totally agree. Yeah.
It's actually a really complex talk if you really stop
It.
and think
I
about
agree, and I think it's something that if you're really interested in, you have to
it. Yeah,
Google it. There's, you don't need
exactly.
an encyclopedia or anything. You can literally
You
just
can
Google it.
Google it, or you can, go talk to an older person.
Like
Find
like us. Yeah.
maybe volunteer. No, no, no. I'm talking like older than us. Like go volunteer at a, like a nursing home or something like that, or
Right.
something like that. Go talk to older people, and ask them about, can you tell me about the 50s or the 60s or whatever,
From their
They'll tell you
eyes.
all
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, they'll tell
Yeah.
you all about it.
The evolution. So
Yeah,
I mean, that's. I guess we could wrap that up by saying,
yeah,
we've tried to give the evolution of technology through our
hmm
eyes. Like, yes, you can Google things and learn about
right, right.
the first, second, third, and currently we're in the fourth industrial revolution.
Yes,
Which I
yes.
don't think a lot of people even knew that, but um, you can Google that stuff and learn about, but hopefully
hmm
we've provided the audience with some of our experiences that you can't Google and that you can't find
Right.
outside of having a conversation with someone. So um,
Yeah, you don't. I never hear anyone talk about this, like especially from like our age group or anything like that. I never hear anyone discussing this.
I
You know.
agree. I agree.
And the funny thing is this, because like okay, like we're millennials, right?
Hmm.
So we're young people, obviously. But when you compare us to like a 21-year-old or something, so when we're old people, like when we're really old, let's say we're in our 80s or something, they're going to be in their 70s, you know?
Hmm.
So we're close in age, but their experience from life is going to be a lot different from ours just because we're going to be that last generation. We're going to, not
Right.
generation, but that last like age group
Hmm.
that saw, and understood the old technology versus the new technology, as
Hmm.
were, those people who are going to be 70 or so when we're like 80, they're only going to know the modern technology on out,
True.
they're not really going to they're not going to remember the old technology and the old ways. So that's one huge difference.
That's very true. Yeah, I agree.
We're kind of a unique little portion of the young populace right now, I guess, if you will.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, but
All right. If that tune doesn't make your head bob, then I don't know what will. I feel pumped after that. Let's talk about some sports. Well, yeah, it is. So it is June 12th, and the finals is over. Obviously the Warriors won. They swept the Cavs. I was expecting and I predicted a sweep from the Warriors. Beating the Cavs. Even though the Cavs have LeBron James, the Warriors are just stacked, man. Like they've got. They have 3 stars on their team. They have a nice, even though Draymond Green is considered an all-star. Um, I don't personally consider him like that great of a player. He's good, but he wouldn't be an all-star in my opinion if it wasn't for Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant. But he is technically he is technically an all-star. But he's an all-star. Andre Iguodala is an all-star. But I would call Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, KD superstars. So they legit have three superstars on their team. So you kind of expected it. I don't know. Did you even watch the series? I mean, I watched every game. I didn't even really enjoy it. Hmm. 7 games, yeah. Yep. And if Chris Paul didn't get hurt, they maybe. Dude, he always. True. I agree with you, bro. But like I feel like he always gets hurt during the either the game 2, the finals, or at some point, like he's always
yeah,
hurt in crucial moments.
he is, man, and that's not good because there's just certain players in certain sports that just always seem to get hurt, man. Like let's take the NFL for example, Sam Bradford.
Oh,
Damn,
that guy.
damn good quarterback, right? He's a damn good quarterback,
Yeah,
except for he's unavailable because
never
he's
available.
injured all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like you'll get Sam Bradford for like 3 games. He's gonna play awesome, and then the dude gets injured.
yeah, right.
He's out for the season.
Yep,
You know,
yep. You know who's another guy
ridiculous
like that?
numbers. Who?
Uh, Percy Harvin.
Yeah,
Remember
Percy
him?
Harvin was like that too. Yeah,
Nasty
I do,
athlete.
man.
Like if when healthy, he was like unbelievable wide receiver. Like he would have been probably top 5 receiver in the league, and they just always hurt,
Could
man.
have
Always
been
hurt.
Mr. Glass. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, man. I mean, there have been some really great athletes who could never escape injury.
Hmm.
So I'm sorry though, because there's a lot of great athletes who are hardly ever injured, and there's a lot of great athletes who get injured here and there. But
True.
if you're unavailable, I'm sorry, no, you're unreliable. Because you're always injured.
I completely agree. You have to. The
Yeah.
first step to being a quality player
Mhm.
is playing. So.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I did hear a funny story at one point about do you remember when Percy Harvin played for the Seahawks for like
Yeah.
for like a game. It was like, I don't know. It was
I
like,
know, right? I was thinking to myself, like, was he with them for 1 or 2 seasons? I just don't remember.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, I think it was like a season and a half or something like that. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
apparently like you remember like this is going back into like the prime of the Seahawks there, where like
Mhm.
Sherman and Doug
Oh
Baldwin and
man.
those guys like were at their prime shit talking wise too, and apparently I heard a story that Percy Harvin punched Doug Baldwin in the face. Like he just like they're at a practice and they just like talking shit to each other, and he just hauled off and punched him right in the jaw, I guess. Which
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
I totally believe that. Like somebody telling me that, like I totally believe that.
Yeah,
Those guys,
yeah, I
man.
agree, man.
In the NFL, it's changed quite a bit too. Now you have Sherman on the
Yeah.
Niners. You've got Aqib Talib on the
Oh yeah.
Rams. Um,
Speaking of the Rams, man, holy crap, dude! Like
they look good,
what
huh?
they did this offseason, on paper they look outstanding. Because I mean, they were a good team last year.
True, true.
They were a solid team last year. Now you get Aqib Talib, Peters,
Yep. Marcus
and who else
Peters.
did they get? They got
The
another.
Dominican
Didn't they
Sue.
get Dominic Sue? Yeah. Oh my God, bro!
I
Like
mean, on paper, you might as well give them the championship. Like like they're
on
stacked.
paper, yeah. Stacked.
They even
Yeah.
got
On paper,
they
yeah.
got Brandon Cooks as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. Brandon Cooks, man. So it's like they're loaded,
Right,
and I
right.
think their head coach Sean McVay,
Yep.
I think he's gonna know what to do with these guys. They got a good defensive coordinator, a solid defense. I don't see why they can't put it all together and just be a dominant team,
They're gonna be
But we'll
good.
see.
They're gonna be good. That's for
I think
sure.
so, man. I think so, dude. So Los Angeles, I think they're going to be a team to look out for, especially in the NFC. Because I don't think Philadelphia is going to repeat. I definitely don't.
Hmm. I don't think so either.
In the
Yeah.
NFC.
It's,
Yeah.
I think I think there's maybe even 2 or 3 teams that are better than the Eagles are right now in the NFC.
Yeah.
Like I would definitely put. I think
Exactly.
I put the. I know, and I understand Michael Bennett is playing for the Eagles
Mm-hmm.
now. They've they have a few additions, but I mean and then they're gonna have a full off season with Jay Ajayi, so like he's gonna probably know the system a little bit
Yeah.
better. Um,
Yeah.
Carson Wentz, if he's healthy, will
Mm-hmm.
probably be an MVP caliber candidate.
Sure. Sure.
But I just when you look at the Rams, like they look unbelievable on paper, and then
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
forget the Vikings. The Vikings, I think the Vikings might have a better
Yeah.
defense than the Rams have. I mean
Dude,
they're
yeah. The
stacked.
NFC. The NFC is going to be interesting this year, man, because of first and foremost, the Rams. They're loaded. Kirk Cousins is in Minnesota. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
Alex Smith is in Washington.
yeah,
That's going to be interesting.
yeah.
Philadelphia, they should be a good team. But another team that I think is actually you're going to love this. I think this is going to be kind of interesting is San Francisco,
Yes.
just
Oh, yeah.
because
Jimmy
Jimmy
G.
Garoppolo
Yeah,
looks like he's going to be a pretty good quarterback, bro.
I
So
agree. And
yeah,
they got
I think
Sherman.
they're going to be an interesting team. Yeah, I'm not going to say they're going to be like a dominant team or anything like that, but I think they're gonna. I think we're gonna see some good football from them.
I agree. I agree.
No.
And I think you hit it on the nail too, where the NFC is going to be
Mm-hmm.
interesting, and I think you have some wild cards. Um,
Sure. Yeah.
where
Yeah.
the AFC is just always so damn predictable. Like the Patriots are
Pretty
going to be
much.
there, and like I know that there's
Yeah.
drama going on right now with Tom Brady. Apparently, I don't know if you've heard this or not, but
Yeah.
apparently Gronkowski wanted to be traded, and like there's a story going around on ESPN saying that Gronkowski wanted to be traded, and apparently Tom Brady caught wind of that and said, if Gronkowski gets traded, he's gonna retire. So, 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 Which I wouldn't blame Tom Brady
Yeah.
because I mean like their
Yeah.
offense is significantly better with Gronk than without him.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and he's
You know what it probably is? Gronkowski probably just wants to have fun, you know,
he
because
does.
we've heard all the rumors from former Patriots players about how not fun it is to play in New England.
Oh, it's not even fun. What like you know, I'm from New England,
Yeah,
and it's not even fun to watch them play. Like you know, like they're just so
yeah,
robotic about everything. Like you know,
yeah,
I like Julian Edelman. He's got a little pizzazz to him, but like you know,
sure,
oh man, they're just too white collar for
yeah,
me, man. The you know, and in respect to the you know, Bill Belichick is probably the best coach
yeah,
in the history of the game. You
yeah,
know, and Tom Brady is definitely one of the best quarterbacks of all time. You
yeah.
know, and it you know I'm not trying to take any respect away from them, but they're just frustrating to watch, man. And again, like I'm from New England, so like I grew up like
Hmm.
not rooting for them, but you know being tolerant of them. You know, I'm a Boston fan like all the way except for football, but um,
Right,
and it
right.
just it's frustrating to watch them year after year just doing the same boring shit all the time. And I will say like Bill Belichick's interviews have kind of grown on me. I do kind of enjoy those. You know, he just his
Yeah.
little
All right.
cut off sweatshirt, not giving answers to any reporters, being a dick. Like that is kind of funny.
You know what, man? That reminds me. I'm gonna miss because if you think about it, the Seahawks were the king of it.
Yeah, they were
You
the
know,
they were like the
they.
opposite
Oh
of the
man.
Patriots.
Yeah. Yeah, they were, but
Loved it.
I used to love watching those guys interview because you know Sherman and
Oh,
Baldwin,
such dicks.
especially when they had Beast Mode, man. Oh my god, those guys are great. You know,
he
like
he might be my favorite interviewer of all time, man. Like, he might be my
yeah,
favorite NFL personality
exactly,
ever. Beast
exactly.
mode.
Yeah,
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
yeah, man. So
I'm just here so I don't get
yeah,
fined.
no answer, no answer. And I still love the time that Doug Baldwin just brought his cutout, his cardboard cutout, like.
Yeah, he had the. Oh my god, that
Oh
was
man,
hilarious.
yeah,
He gave the whole
that was the
interview with
best,
like with
bro.
his cutout. Yeah, like
Oh,
having the
dude.
conversation.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that, you gotta YouTube that. Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah.
Him and
Yeah.
Richard
So
Sherman.
when you think about it, the only ones left, man, are freaking Doug Ball and Earl Thomas. You know,
Yeah,
they're the
that's
only
right.
ones really left from that.
Cam Chancellor, he's still there though he's.
We don't know if he's ever gonna play again.
That's true too. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
because he is hurt. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's true.
But let's see. Let's think about some other teams real quick. So
I do think, and
who else?
you'll like this. I think the Texans
Yeah.
are going to be pretty good
Oh,
this year. You know,
I do too, bro.
if
I do too.
Watson comes back and he's healthy, like he
Yeah.
showed some gains as a rookie quarterback. I think he looked
Yeah.
pretty unstoppable at points.
Bro,
Um,
I know he did. You know,
and
so it's gonna be interesting. Yeah,
I hate to say it because I don't think he does quite compare to Michael Vick, and I hate the comparison because like I'm not saying it because he's black
nah,
and Michael
man,
Vick was black, but
right.
he does have aspects of Michael Vick's game that I look at and I'm like, wow, like that's like a, you
Hmm.
know, he's not Michael Vick, but he plays, you know, kind of like Michael Vick, where like he's a gunslinger, you know, he's winging that ball out there, but he can also scramble and get some yards with his feet. Not to the extent of I don't know. You remember watching Michael Vick? I remember like that guy, like when he stepped on the field, you know, offenses
Yeah,
couldn't do a damn thing to stop him because, you know, what are you gonna do? Like you can't you had to either pick
yeah.
you know, stop him from scrambling or stop him from throwing. Like you couldn't do both, you know. And
I honestly think that I think Deshaun Watson compares more to Aaron Rodgers in my book, man.
you think so?
Yeah, he's a passer, bro. Like Vic was a scrambler who could throw too, but he was more a scrambler until he got refined a little bit later on in his career. You know what I mean? Like Watson's a passer actually who can scramble like Rodgers. You know,
Hmm.
Rodgers is not a, he's not a scrambling quarter. He can scramble. He can make, throws on the run and all that good stuff. And that's
Decep-
what Watson is
yeah,
more to me.
Rogers has that
Yeah.
like deceptive speed. Like he's not like fast, but he's deceptively fast. I
Right.
think. But like I don't
Right.
know.
Like Watson is faster than Rodgers, but I mean, like, I think
Hmm.
their style of play is similar. It's like
Okay.
I don't look at Deshaun Watson like, oh, he's like Michael Vick. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. No. Well, like he definitely was.
yeah,
He's not as fast as Michael Vick, but I thought like he had the big
definitely
arm like
not.
Michael Vick does or did. Like I
Yeah, but
remember. I guess maybe
Vick didn't have quite the accuracy for a long time, though. You know?
I always thought he did. Wow. Okay. That's news. Maybe I need to watch some Michael Vick clips then, because I thought he was like an elite
Yeah.
passer too. Um, like
Wow.
wasn't he for, was
I,
for a second wasn't he like just the best quarterback in the league?
like, if you're talking about like 2010 Michael Vick, yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, no.
Yeah, but that's later on in his career. But if you're
Okay.
talking about like Atlanta Falcons Michael Vick, no.
Really?
No.
I always thought he was pretty accurate. Okay, wow. Okay, I guess I need to refresh my
He
memory.
was, he was like middle of the pack accuracy.
Oh, okay. Well, he did
Yeah.
he did have a big arm though.
Oh yeah, he did. He could sling a ball. Don't get me wrong. You
Hmm.
know, he was a solid quarterback even when he was a Falcon. You know,
You know what I blame Madden '95 for that because or was it '98 or something like
it
that?
had to be later. It had to
Yeah,
be way later than that.
maybe
'Cause
was it nine?
Dick came into the league like in the 2000s, man.
Did he really?
Yeah, dude.
All right. Wow. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, you're
Um,
way off, bro. You're way off.
Wow. All right. Don't get your sports news from me.
No.
No, but I remember Madden. One of the Madden versions had him rated at like 95, and like it was like
Yeah.
you could either scramble, you could throw.
Oh
Like he
yeah.
was untouchable. Like, he was the best player in like the history of all the Madden games. But wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that was.
He had the tools. Don't get me wrong, man. Like he had a strong arm. Of course, he had speed unlike damn near any other player on the field.
Oh yeah.
He had the agility. So I mean, he was an awesome player, and that's how he got those to the Pro Bowl. Even when he was a Falcon before the whole dog thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
But he didn't get there just because he was like necessarily the best quarterback. You know what I mean? He got there because he was a superb athlete at quarterback. But
So I always thought
in
that.
2010, he was a damn good quarterback finally in his career. He was a really good quarterback.
I always thought though that there was literally no holes in his game. That's what made him so unique. Was that like he was the fastest guy in the league, but also he could throw the ball, like he could sling it pretty good too. I always thought.
Yeah, I mean, he could sling it solid. I mean, he was a solid quarterback.
Okay, interesting. I'll have to read some more
Yeah.
about Michael Vick. I guess my game is off.
Yeah.
Well, here's a
Yeah,
question for you.
man.
If
Okay.
if I take Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees,
Yeah.
and I take those quarterbacks off the table, and we go into the tier 2 quarterbacks.
Right.
If you're starting a franchise from scratch now, uh,
Mhm.
what who are you taking as your quarterback?
Right now,
Hmm. And like you are the head coach, so you have a chance of getting
right.
fired. So it's like you can't plan completely for the future. Like you have to get some
Yeah.
kind of quality win now, but also plan
Right.
for the future.
Honestly, man, I would pick Deshaun Watson, bro. I'm not even joking. Like, I mean, and it's not because I'm a Texans fan.
It most
It's
certainly is.
because I'm looking at this guy's skill set, bro. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is accurate. He's got a strong arm. He's like, he's tough. He's got maneuverability, man. It's like, oh my god, I know he's got to get over the ACL thing, but still, you know,
Hmm.
like I'm looking at this guy like this guy is gonna be one of the greats. That's what he's looking like right now.
I agree. I agree. He has a
You
chance to
know,
become really, really good. Yeah.
yeah. Now another guy I would probably choose too. I would probably go with Jimmy Garoppolo's looking really good, bro.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
you know,
I hate to sound like a homer, but
yeah,
like, yeah, I agree. I
I
think
know. Yeah,
Jimmy G
I'm just
is
gonna be real, man. Yeah, I'm just gonna be real from a football perspective. Jimmy Garoppolo is another guy who's like, damn, like that guy looks fucking awesome.
super accurate. Yeah,
And then absolutely, and those are the things I want out of a quarterback. And
he's
he's
got
got maneuverability too.
he's
You know.
not he's definitely he can move. He's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
run though. Like where Deshaun Watson is, he can
No.
move
Yeah.
and run. Like
Right.
he can, Garoppolo can kind of move in the pocket, but he's definitely not a scrambler. But like
Right.
the one thing that I'll say that Garoppolo has that I haven't seen from a lot of the young quarterbacks, that if he becomes an elite passer, it'll probably be because of this trait, is that Garoppolo has this super quick release.
Yeah.
Like
He does.
unbelievably, it's like out of his hands before like just the wind, like the 3-step drop back. Like his
Right.
steps are maybe not at an elite quickness level, but his trigger, like when he fires that ball from like pocket to release, is unbelievably quick. And so like that makes that quarterback a really difficult quarterback to sack. It also puts a lot of
Right.
pressure on the defense, and if you can match that with accuracy, I think that's like an unbeatable combination. I think that's what Tom Brady does well, um, and it makes
Yeah.
up for a lot of like of your offensive line mishaps and miscommunications and whatnot. It makes up for a lot of mistakes. It's like having a Kevin Durant on your team. Like if your offense
Yeah.
makes a mistake, well, it doesn't really matter because he can still pull up from 35 feet and jay a nice three in someone's face.
Right. Absolutely, man. So I like Jimmy Garoppolo, and then I think another young guy who's really good too is of course Carson Wentz.
He he
Like
kind
I
of
think.
he kind of fits into
Yeah.
exactly what you were saying about Deshaun Watson though, like where he's got the maneuverability, big body,
Yep.
physical, like he can run, but can he stay
Right.
healthy?
I don't know, and that remains to be seen. But if we throw the injury stuff out the window real quick, I really think like when you talk about those three guys right there, we're talking about like the next three the next generation of elite quarterbacks are going to be in the NFL.
I agree.
Like how we had like Brady, uh, what's his name, Peyton Manning, and Breeze, right? Like if
Aaron
you say
Rodgers.
Garoppolo, Watson, and Wentz,
Mhm.
yeah, and Rodgers.
Mhm.
So you say Garoppolo, Watson, Wentz, and then we could probably even throw this guy in there. You may not like this, but I'm just going to throw it in there.
Mhm.
Russell Wilson.
Oh,
If you
okay.
throw
All
these
right.
four in,
Uh
like,
huh.
you know what I mean? Like, I think we're looking at the next generation of like the elite quarterbacks.
True. I agree. Do Let me
I
ask you
really
this:
do, man.
do any
Okay.
of the rookies that were taken this in this draft stand out to you?
Honestly, not really, man. Not really. But I know some of them have some high accolades. So like that linebacker with Buffalo, I think he's either with Buffalo or the New York Giants. He's with one of those teams.
Mhm.
Um, I heard really good things about him. Of course, Josh Rosen down in Arizona.
Mhm.
Heard good things about that guy so far. Of course, Sam Darnold.
Mhm.
Who else? Another rookie that they really that running back with the Giants. Been
Saquon
hearing good
Barkley.
things about him.
I've
Yeah,
read some stories about Saquon Barkley
yeah.
that like he's like a apparently I heard someone write or I read someone a quote about him saying like a writer saying that he's like a bigger, stronger version of who's the guy out of Dallas there, Elliott, Ezekiel
Oh,
Elliott.
Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like he's like a
yeah,
bigger, stronger
yeah,
version
man.
out of him. I mean, that's insane if he is, because I know
Right.
Saquon had a one of the top 40s. Like he's really fast guy off the line, but I didn't realize that he's like apparently he's a really strong guy too.
That's what I heard, man. But man, I with rookies, dude, I'm never impressed until I see them play. Like until the season starts and we see them play, like I'm not really too, you know, impressed with rookies. Like even last year, I wasn't too excited about Deshaun Watson yet. Because I didn't really watch him too much in college.
Hmm.
And I watched him in the preseason. And he looked cool and all, but I was like, okay, he was a rookie to me. I was not expecting what happened to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's
that's
tough
the
to
way I
predict.
look at rookies, man. So I mean, who knows how these rookies are going to turn out? I believe what the analysts say and the coaches and everything. So we'll see when the season starts and we action. You know,
So
we'll see.
Bray One and myself play in the same fantasy football league, and I do. There's a competitive note to some of our conversations, but
Yeah.
I do have a question for you in regards to fantasy
Okay.
football. Um,
Right.
what give me your top three your 3 round mock draft if you're picking first overall, if it's a snake draft like how we do it. So if you're picking first
Yeah.
overall and then you don't get to pick again until last in the second round, and then you pick
Yeah.
first again in the third round. Give me a realistic top 3 pick that you're going with.
Right now, I mean, I haven't even been thinking about fantasy football this year, man. So kind of caught me off guard there.
I think well maybe that's
Who
why
would
you
I
never
go with?
win.
Maybe nah, not really, man. This year I'm not even thinking about it, like, because I wasn't planning on playing fantasy football this year.
Really?
But yeah, man, yeah. Remember, I had that talk with you. I was thinking about leaving fantasy football for good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Just
me too.
because it's kind of a waste of time. It's cool and all, but it is kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, I agree. Oh no, it's a complete waste of time, especially how we do it. We don't.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Most
Exactly.
you and I are the only ones that actually like talk shit in the league and everything. So it's. Uh,
I know, man. I
and,
know, and that's another thing. Just like I don't want to waste my time doing that shit anymore. But
I know.
a top three pick. I'm just gonna say, okay, I'm just gonna throw somebody out there. Antonio Brown. You know.
Okay. Okay. Good. Yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong there.
No.
Do you have
What about
any?
you?
I probably, if I have the first pick overall, I'm probably going David Johnson,
Oh
or
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, like I like to go running
Le'Veon
back,
Bell
like,
or something.
huh?
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
Le'Veon Bell or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I like to go elite, uh, running slash pass catching running back, somebody that's reliable. But
Yeah.
the problem with those
Yeah.
guys is, like the health. You know,
Oh man. Yeah.
it's tough. But
Like
if
whoever got David Johnson.
that was me, a jerk.
Yeah, there I do. Which sucks because it's like you get David Johnson, like hell yeah, I'm doing good. And
Oh, yeah, I agree. The thing, and I know I can remember conversations that we've had about, quitting fantasy football. Part of it,
no.
one of the reasons There's many reasons I think that go into it, but like one of the reasons I don't like how I root and how I root for the players that are playing the game when I'm focused on fantasy football. You know, like if a guy gets hurt, you know, it's like, oh shit, you know, like my fantasy team is screwed now. Like when in reality, like this guy just got hurt. Like it's fucking fantasy football. Who gives a shit about fantasy football? Like this guy's health is on the line.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, and you're worried about your fantasy football?
Yeah. It actually takes away from the game, man, because
I
we
agree.
look at these guys differently now. It's like, man, you only got me like 5 points when you're projected to give me like 20. Like, what the fuck, you know?
Right.
What it really true is like, motherfucker, that's AJ Green, you son of a bitch. You know, like AJ Green is one of the elite wide receivers. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
these are damn good football players. And yeah, you know, sometimes in fantasy they don't give you the numbers you're expecting, you know, but it doesn't mean that they're not still good football players, you know.
I agree.
So it does kind of take away from the game, you know.
True.
And there are people I've heard like interviews from football players where they're saying like the fans are like, man, you lost me, you know, my fantasy football championship and stuff like that. It's like, you know, like that's kind of ridiculous, you know.
Yeah.
If I'm a professional football player who plays real football, you know, especially if I'm one of the best players in the game, and some son of a bitch fan comes up to who's like, man, you lost me my fantasy football championship, I'd probably want to deck the hell out of you, you know, like
True.
fuck
But
you know,
a lot of yeah. But the thing is, a lot of players play fantasy football. So there's a fine line between
so
that.
some of them play too.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a tough call. I think.
I don't.
What's that?
If I was in the NFL, I would not play fantasy football. Like if I was a pro football player, I would not play fantasy football.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're not even in the pros, and we're considering not playing. You know, and
I know.
something that we've been doing for years. I also think, and this is the last NFL question I have for you.
Okay.
It kind of goes into the nature of all this gambling in football and like now that we have sports betting is legal now. It's also another reason why I kind of am thinking about getting away from fantasy football. Not to mention that like there's not a lot of talent that's involved in fantasy football. It's a lot of luck. Like, you know, people get super lucky in fantasy football. But so is the question, and this kind of really stems from the Saints Vikings game and the last play of that playoff game last year between the two teams. How fixed do you think the NFL is?
Pretty damn fixed, but not just the NFL, all professional sports.
Right. I agree. I agree.
Yep.
You know, and
you know, you and I have had conversations about these topics. You know.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Well, like even so, if you remember the last play of that game,
Oh god.
like how blatant was that blown tackle?
It was so blatant, it wasn't funny, bro. And it's not only that. When you look at that play, I can't think of who the defensive lineman on the Saints was, but he quit on the play also when he could have easily, you know, hit Case Keenum.
Right. Oh yes, yeah. You're talking. Yeah, before he threw the ball. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's two parts to that, man, and like a lot of people overlook that too. But either way, it's so blatantly obvious, bro. Like I just. It was so blatant. It wasn't even funny, you know.
I agree. And the safety.
I couldn't believe. Yeah.
Well, the safety, not only did he blow the tackle, but he actually took his own guy out that had a chance to chase down and tackle. Who was it? What's his name from the Vikings that scored the touchdown there?
But he had a good season on top of that, man.
He did.
Like that safety.
He's a
He
rookie.
played good ball all year. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he played good ball all year, man.
Yeah, true. And you and I have both played
Yeah,
football, like,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
not to the professional level, obviously, but
No,
we've made many
no,
tackles and been tackled many times.
yes,
That missed
yes,
tackle, I've never seen
yeah.
anything like that in my life. And
I know, man, and I couldn't believe all the people who were trying to defend. Oh, he just misjudged. Like, no, motherfucker, he did it. You know, he did not misjudge it.
the
He didn't
only
even have to go for that technique.
dude, I mean, the only thing I could think of
All he had to
is
do was rap. Yeah,
what's that? Go ahead.
I mean, his tech. All he had to do was just wrap him up. That's all he had to do.
The only thing I can think of is that he literally had his eyes closed, like as soon as I forget his name that caught the ball. Who was it that caught the ball? Damn.
Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs. That's
It
right.
was Stephon Diggs.
As soon as Stephon Diggs caught the ball, he must have closed his eyes. Like that's the only thing that I can think of, because like he was so far off from tackling him, it was ridiculous. Like there's no way that wasn't fixed or like at least planned.
See, you just debunked yourself because if he had his eyes closed, then he wouldn't have known when to, go for the missed tackle.
Oh, true. Very true.
So, nope. It was just rigged, buddy. In my opinion.
Yeah, there's a number of games that are like that. And I can like the one that I remember the most is the Niners versus Seahawks in the NFC Championship. That game was just clearly fixed. Like the refs, like I can remember. I think I showed you a video that broke down that game and how the play clock and the running clock, they're supposed to work together. Obviously, right? And
Right.
and at one point, the running clock kept going, or no, the running clock had stopped, or there was like maybe 13 seconds that were unaccounted for on the play clock. So like it went from like
Right.
what is it, 45 seconds for the play clock, right?
Yep.
It went from like 30 to like all of a sudden down to like 5 seconds, and Colin Kaepernick had to like really quickly hike the ball, and I remember Jim Harbaugh like complaining about it mid like during the game, and like the refs weren't even paying attention, like, and it was just, I don't know, something really fishy about that game. Like I remember the Niners were kicking the Seahawks ass all game, and somehow we lost, and it just I remember thinking like,
Right.
what the heck. And another one was last year, if you recall too, was the Texans versus the Raiders in Mexico City.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yep.
game looked pretty
You're right,
fixed.
man. It was.
Mhm.
But, like I said, man, pro sports is rigged, period. So, whatever. It's
Yeah.
not shocking to me.
True. It's a shame because it's fun to watch.
Oh, it is. I love football. And even though I know, like, pro sports is rigged, I still watch football.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So fun to watch.
Well, that said, what do you have an MLB update, or have you not been watching it at all?
Not really, no. Even though my Astros won the World Series last season,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been keeping up with pro baseball.
But they're still doing well this year.
I just haven't.
I think
That's what I hear.
the ESPN Power Rankings had them number one. I think week 8, which was like last week.
That's cool.
So they're still doing pretty
But,
good.
it's a long season though, man.
It
Like,
is.
you know how baseball and basketball are. You really can't get a good feel for your team until it gets close to playoff time.
Yeah, but the playoff time is when all the base bros come out too, though. So
Absolutely. Base bros pop out the woodworks.
they do. They're just all over the place.
Yeah.
And should we tell the audience what base bro is? We defined that word, even though it got rejected.
Yeah, I think we should, man. You want to go on ahead and do the honors?
Yeah, I guess when was this, like maybe um, you know 3 or 4 months out of there, 3 or 4 months ago, where we were
I don't
basically
know. Yeah.
we defined the term base bros, and it's kind of, I mean, I would say that I am a base bro. Would you?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
I would say base bro because do you have the official definition that we submitted? I mean, it's probably easier to
Dude, I don't know.
well, um,
Let me see. Let me see if I can find it.
all right, you take a look, and I'll kind of talk about it. But it was last year. It was around the time when the Astros won the World Series, and
Mm,
uh, Bray One and myself were talking about how you have this community in baseball, and it's unlike most other sports where you have dedicated fans like that love a particular team, that are only dedicated to a particular team, that only watch their team in the playoffs, or like in like epic games or something, like epic showdowns with another quality team. Like
right.
you in the NFL, it's not like that. Like your team could suck, and for the most part, you'll watch the games up to an extent, unless you're a
Right.
Browns fan. If you're a Browns fan, you probably don't watch much football. But no, I'm just kidding. But like they probably do. But it's just this
Right.
base bro community. So we decided to like actually define. We created a word called base bros, um, which kind of defines. Were you able to find the definition?
Yeah, actually, I was.
Okay, you want to go
You
ahead
want
and
me to read it for them?
yeah, go ahead and read it.
All right. Base bro. It's a noun. Um, a bro who only cares about Major League Baseball when his team is in the World Series. Definition two: an expression used to describe most fans of the baseball community. So, let's see. Let's give it to them in a couple of examples or whatever. Let's see. Typical baseball fans are disinterested with the regular MLB, AAA, AA, or collegiate baseball season.
Hmm.
If and only if the fan's favorite team is involved in a playoff game, will said fan watch the game. Most individuals who can be represented by this team are highlight junkies. They
Hmm.
tend to only be interested in box scores and highlight plays.
Sports
And
Center type
here's
thing.
like,
Dun-dun-dun,
exactly.
dun-dun-dun.
Here's us using base bro in like a sentence. So, oh shit, the Seattle managers. Oh shit, the Mariners are in the World Series. Get ready for all the base bros to hop out of the woodworks. Example two. Paul is such a base bro. I had no idea the San Diego Padres existed until you started talking about them being in the World Series. And then we had one more little example. In statistics, unlike the main other three American sports, data suggests that baseball organizations earn more with local contacts than they do with national contacts. This is probably due to the majority of base bros that make up the baseball community. This is a report from the U.S. Data and Statistics Office.
It, we made that up, but like, I mean, it kind of makes
That was
sense.
an epic
Oh,
definition.
I thought it was good. I
Yeah.
can't believe Urban Dictionary denied us of that. But yeah, that was a good one, and
Hey.
and I remember thinking like, that is the case in the real world where baseball. I don't know the numbers specifically, but you can look it up where baseball club teams survive off
Mhm.
of those local contracts, where like with local media contracts, where like the Boston Red Sox are huge in Boston, and maybe not, maybe Boston isn't a good example because they are pretty big nationally and internationally, but say like like the Milwaukee Brewers, like their local contract with in Milwaukee, Wisconsin is huge. And
Right.
they get huge big payoffs from those media contracts where they're not. It's not
Right.
like that in the NBA. Like the NBA, NBA teams get you know the majority of their media contract money from national coverage. Um,
Right.
but yeah, so I just kind of think it's from those from all those fucking base bros out there.
Probably, man. You know, probably.
Um,
So let's see. Is there anything else in sports you'd like to discuss right now?
one last question for you: where's LeBron
Oh,
going?
okay. Houston.
You think so, huh? He's going to Houston.
Nah, I
All
have no
right.
idea, bro.
Nope, that's it. You heard
That
it
would be.
first. Heard it first here. Bray one.
Hey, but look here. If he does, that would be badass. You know,
Do you think they'd beat the Warriors if they
I,
signed LeBron?
I do. I do. You know, but here's the thing too. Like we said, pro sports is rigged, man. So how in the hell does one of the best pointing, 3-point shooting teams in the NBA just drop a brick, in game 7 of the Western Conference Finals? All of a sudden no one could shoot a three. Get the fuck out of here.
Right. Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
It's tough.
Like, even without Chris Paul, it's like they know how to shoot threes, and no one can hit a three. No one. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, no one can hit a free throw. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
It's funny the Celtics went through the same thing. Like Terry Rozier
Yeah.
was 0 from 7 from the 3-point arc. Where up to that point, that point he had lit it up. I remember Trevor Ariza was what 0 for 8 for the game. Like I mean, yeah, like they both the Celtics and the Rockets had terrible
Yeah.
3-point shooting games when they came into those games. Shooting
Right.
lights out. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I guess so. So Bron's going to Houston. We shall see. We shall find out.
We're gonna find out, man. We're gonna find out. He
So
definitely isn't going to Boston.
yeah, I don't. I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't. I don't
I
want
think
that.
I think Kyrie Irving was this anyway. No.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving would leave. That's why he left Cleveland.
He would. I know. Yeah.
I,
But, like they're gonna, if you think about it, man, I think LeBron's gonna go to a team that he can help make like a super team. Because when you look at the Golden State Warriors, that's kind of what they are.
mhm.
So Houston is kind of a logical choice because Houston's a pretty good team. But as you could see, they just didn't have quite enough to match up with Golden State.
Well, I
They
think
almost
they
had
did.
enough.
The thing is, I think they did.
I think so too.
If
If
Chris,
Chris
yeah,
Paul, yeah.
yeah, if Chris
But
Paul's
imagine
healthy,
if they can get LeBron.
But the tricky part
That's gonna
is,
be nasty.
what do they have to
Yeah.
give up to get LeBron? Like, because he apparently he wants to sign
Yeah.
for a max contract, which is like 36 million. They don't have enough. Between
Right.
both the Jameses and Chris Paul, that would be like $100 million eaten up in the salary. So how they
Right.
do it is going to be interesting. See, I think personally, I think Bron goes to the Lakers,
Oh, okay. All right.
and I think this is just a scenario that I hashed out in my mind a couple, like maybe a couple weeks ago. Um,
Right.
I think the Lakers sign either Paul George or my gut feeling is the Lakers sign LeBron and DeMarcus Cousins, and then uh, take Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma along with some picks and trade to the Spurs to get Kawhi Leonard. So and then they bring back Julius Randle. So I would say. The starting lineup for the Lakers next year would be Lonzo Ball at the 1. The 2 would be Kawhi Leonard. And then the 3 would be LeBron James. Then Julius Randle at the 4. and then DeMarcus Cousins at the 5. And I think that'd be a team that could compete with the Warriors. But I don't know. We shall see. We shall find out. I just hope he doesn't go to the Celtics. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, man.
Well, anything else you'd like to add to the sports update?
Let me think, man. Let me think. We already discussed basketball, football.
There is hockey.
Man,
Fuck hockey.
man, I stopped watching hockey so long ago. I used to watch NASCAR, and I don't even watch NASCAR anymore, man. You know,
I never got into
huge.
NASCAR.
Oh, I used to be a huge NASCAR fan, man, and I just don't give a shit about it anymore. You know. What about, man? I would say college sports, but man, I'm not keeping up with college sports that much right now. So
Yeah. No, I'm not
so
a huge college
I'm done
sports
on
fan.
sports.
Okay, cool. I mean, we could talk about
Yeah.
other stuff too, sports related, but other topics. So, like
Yeah.
for example, I'm not a huge college sports guy just because of the fact that the players don't get paid. But that's
Yeah.
that's a deeper conversation, I think, for maybe
Right.
for next time. But if you don't have anything else to add, we can switch on over into our final phase of the episode 3.
Let's transition into that final phase, bud.
All right, so we'll wrap up episode 3 here, talking about online dating, a topic that most people, I feel like nowadays, have had some experience with, and I know Bray One has had some experience with online dating. I've had some experience with online dating. And good and bad experiences. And I think right now we'd like to spend some time discussing some of our personal experiences and just an overview of online dating. And then we're gonna work into an actual interview that we conducted with a self-proclaimed expert online dating, and that was one of my favorite things that we've done so far. It was interview a lady by the name of Summer, and so we'll play that and then wrap up with the final conclusions on online dating. So, Bray One, how would you like to open up online dating?
I've never been on a date in my life. No.
That's bullshit, because I know you have.
I don't know, man. Let's see. What would we like to talk about? Just what our experiences with them, or
Anything you'd like. Anything you'd like to your opening statement before we play our interview.
I mean, online dating. It's interesting. It's one way to get dates. Some people, they go to bars and stuff like that to try to find people to date. Some people, if you're a student, maybe one of your classmates or something like that. But nowadays you have an option to try to find people online, and sometimes depending on which site you use, you can find someone who matches your personality or some crap like that. So I mean, it's just another way to find potential mates and stuff like that.
True. Yeah. Yeah. What about any of your personal experiences?
I mean, like I had a run there that was where I got a lot of dates from online dating. Most of the women, I've heard of the horror stories that people have gone through with, online dates, like people not looking like the picture and stuff like that. I was very fortunate. I think every girl I dated looked like the girl in the picture.
Oh, so you're talking
So
about
I was very
catfishing?
fortunate in that sense. Yeah, I didn't have anything like that happen where, I went on the date with the girl and she just looked nothing like the girl in the picture or something like that. So I never had that experience. The one thing I did realize though with a lot of the girls, like most of them, is they said one thing on their profile And then when I psychoanalyze them on the date, because of course I'm a nerd, that's what I do. But when I psychoanalyze them on the date, I
Mm-hmm.
realize they're lying off their ass, like
Mm-hmm.
nothing about them matched up with what they were saying, what they were talking about. So, you know,
True.
gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen out there, make sure you're analyzing the person you go on a date with, regardless of if you get them off online or whatever. Always analyze someone and try to see if they actually match up with who they say they are.
Mm.
How about you, man? What are your experiences like?
My experiences have been interesting. They've been up and down.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and this is just the nature of which of the type of apps that I've used. I've used
Right.
Tinder, Bumble. I've used Plenty of Fish. Let's see what else. What else have
Right.
I used? I've used. Oh, there's a couple more that I've used. What are some of those other free sites? Um,
Zeusk,
Zeusk. I used Zeusk for a second.
Match.com,
No, because you had to pay for that. There's
farmersonly.com,
no, no, no. Gotcha.
Christian Mingle.
No, no. But I think
uh,
with with those, I'd say those three though, the Plenty of Fish, Tinder, and
yeah,
Bumble are probably the ones I use the most. And um,
right.
so my experience has been pretty limited, and I would sum it up to be uh, as toxic. I think online dating is toxic,
Ooh,
and um,
ooh,
the reason why, and again, this is a limited experience where I haven't done the Match.com or some of those other websites where like if you're really serious about meeting someone, I would imagine going on a site that you pay for, you probably have better results because you have like-minded people that are also similarly interested in you know real dating, like not necessarily that there's fake dating and real dating, but like that you know there's dating with the intent to move into something serious, and then there's just like casual dating. And I think Tinder and Bumble and Plenty of
yeah.
Fish, that really the majority of the people that you meet, and this goes for the women, I can speak that from experiences, goes
Mm-hmm.
for the women as well. I know definitely for the men, but for the women as well, where it's really just very casual. And I don't know, it just becomes a very first of all, I have a beef with the idea that you know you're so I think love happens organically, and it's something that you really can't or you shouldn't try to disrupt, like that process of falling in love. And yeah, you can meet someone online and ultimately fall in love with them, but
Can you?
what's that?
Can you?
I don't know. I haven't done it, but I assume that there's a chance.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a
Go on,
possibility.
All right, man. All right.
I think there's a possibility, but for the most part, I don't think I think when you online date, your standards change, and it's almost like you grocery shop. So you say you want a girl that's this tall, that weighs this much. If she doesn't have a great profile picture, you're probably skipping her. It's
Yeah.
almost impossible to actually display your personality through a bio, and especially in the Tinder realm, it's like you both have to swipe right on each
Right.
other, and then I don't know, everything just seems so superficial, and I just, for me, like, I've constantly run into these chicks that are
Right.
wanting to be treated like princesses, and I can't stand that shit, man. you know
Yeah.
like, where are the real
It's
women?
like
like
you're
like
not. you're not from a kingdom,
Right.
you know.
Exactly. Exactly.
Not from
Actually,
royalty. Get out of here.
a girl said that once to me. She's like, I want to be treated like a princess, and I was like, well, allow me to get my trumpet players out and announce my arrival when
Yeah.
I get to your place. And I was like, that's fucking ridiculous. Holy shit!
Yeah.
I'm not a prince, so
Yeah.
go. Good luck finding a prince.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah.
I want something real, man.
Absolutely.
Like like I'm at a stage, and I
Yeah.
know you're at a stage too right now, where it's like I want something of quality, and there's debate obviously into what you find, what you think quality is, but I can say that at least with Tinder and Bumble and Plenty of Fish, the majority of the women um, are honestly looking for sex. Um,
Damn.
and it's you're not really gonna find a quality relationship out there. And so I don't
Yeah.
know. If my experiences have been, they've been fun. They've been enjoyable. I've met some good women, but I've also met some very toxic women as well. And so I've walked away from
Right.
online dating, and in general, I've kind of walked away from not walked away from dating, but I just don't know any women that I'd want to date right now. So I'm not really dating, but
Yeah.
I certainly am over the whole online dating phase.
I gotcha. I do have a question for you though, real quick.
Hmm.
I mean, while you were online dating, did you remember the girls' names?
Most of the time, no. Most of the time,
All
no.
right. Okay.
I would say it was
I
like,
just thought I'd ask that question.
yeah, yeah.
Not important, huh? No.
Nope,
Yeah.
not all the time.
I feel you. I feel
Not
you.
unless the girls wanted me to remember their name.
Oh.
Oh my god, you remember their name?
Oh man, it's good stuff. But I agree with you, man. I mean, I walked away from online dating a couple years ago. A few years ago, because I got tired of it. I was like, this is just getting dumb.
Hmm.
Like the girls, it didn't matter what their education level was or what. It's just I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Like you go on
Hmm.
this date with this girl and or woman, I should say, not girl, woman, and it didn't match up with anything she said. Like her personality, and then you realize what it's all about. And it's like this is really disappointing. Unless you're looking.
True.
But
True.
if you're actually looking for love and stuff like that, you know, I don't know, man. I didn't get that feeling from the women I dated, you know, from these online dating sites and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I don't know. And on a deeper level, I haven't found that woman. Period. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That I guess I'm looking for or whatever. I don't know.
True.
But it's all gravy, man. You know,
I agree. I agree. Well,
we'll be all right.
if there's anything else, if there's not anything else you'd like to add, we could start our interview with Summer, the self-proclaimed online dating expert. I think it was a
Yeah.
great interview, hilarious at certain points, and also informative on other uh, points in the interview.
Yeah, man. I say let's start that interview. Let's let them hear it. You know.
Alrighty, here we go.
That was actually the only person I can remember that I meet up with. They were in Phoenix because that's where they were from, but they lived in Tucson, so they ended up coming over here to see their parents or whatever, and we hung out.
Okay.
Tucson to meet somebody also, a different person.
What's the
And from
That's like a 4-hour drive or something, isn't it? Or...
It's only an hour and a half.
What's the
Oh,
furthest
okay.
you've driven to meet someone?
Tucson. Yeah.
Tucson, so an hour. Okay.
I mean, you could have technically been the furthest, but we didn't meet, and I didn't know of you until I was there anyway.
Okay, that's true. For what, 6 hours?
Yeah.
So, now, so I'm just curious here. So like you're on Coffee Meets Bagel, and you're like, F this, done with this. Let's do something that's not so like, how would you summarize Tinder? What would you say Tinder is like?
A roller coaster.
Okay, so I want to get away from the roller coaster. I'm done with the roller coaster. Coffee Meets Bagel is for old boring people. Let's find something new, and then you stumble across Bumble.
Then my friend told me, get on Bumble. They're guys that have like careers, and they're not like lame. So I thought, well, what the hell? What do I have to lose? Seriously. So I did get on Bumble, and it's been tough because I'm a hard swiper, I guess. Like I don't swipe right on many people, and so that lessens my chances of matching with people by like a ton, right? So
that's
but
true.
I'm on it. Yeah.
Very interesting. So, how would you summarize Bumble? So, if Tinder is the roller coaster, Bumble is what?
Bumble's like the back burner. I don't know. It's like I could go months without hearing any kind of notification or any messaging, or I'll match with somebody and I'll have to go away. So
wow. Okay.
Bumble has been like interesting. My one friend that's on it, she met someone that she really likes on there, but so she kind of like serial dated right off the bat, like I was doing. I don't know. So she like swipes way more than I do, yes, to people, I think. So she was matching with a lot more people and talking to a lot more people.
Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting.
I'm going to say that. That's how it all happened.
All right. Cool. Okay, so all right, so Coffee Meets Bagel, Zoosk, Tinder, Bumble, anything else? Have you used anything else?
No, that's it.
That's about it. Have you ever used like Facebook to try to get a date?
Hell no.
No.
I don't even know how you would do that.
What about
What do you
Craigslist?
mean?
Well, I don't know, like
No.
what's that?
Facebook, I deleted my Facebook app this week. I still have Facebook, but I deleted the app off my phone because it's so bland. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have time for that. So no, I've never done Craigslist. I've never done, I found my dog on Craigslist, but I've never found a man on Craigslist.
Nice. Okay, so
I don't know if I'm going to find quality men on Craigslist, honestly.
true. That's probably where you find the highest quality of fuckboys, right there. Like if you create a Craigslist to try to meet someone for sex or something, like that is straight up like you're gonna get herpes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like
I know.
you could wear like
Yeah.
a female condom. You could wear like a trash bag over you, and you're still gonna get crabs.
Duh. That's what Craigslist is all about. I know all the trannies meet in the park at night.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
In all honesty,
It's true.
from a guy's perspective, I don't know if I can speak for one here, but from Uno's perspective, you do have to be careful. I have matched with how we talk about like how you're just swiping if you're attracted to someone. I have matched with
Yeah.
dudes, I've matched with dudes and that have like breast implants, and they wear they look like attractive women, and I've seriously matched with like just like, oh wow, she's hot, and then I look in and it's like, oh, it's a tranny. Shit. Like, I mean, I feel
Yep.
it's like scary.
It's not cool. When I used to do online dating, yeah, when I used to do online dating, that would happen too. I never used Tinder. I used to use Plenty of Fish. But yeah, you'd come across a profile and you'd look at the girl like some about her looks weird. So then you start reading her profile, like I'm a T girl or I'm a tranny. You're like, oh, son of a,
Yeah.
like son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's not even right.
You had just finished jerking off.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that,
Two of them. Yeah.
Well,
Fuck that.
that
You probably
would be
did.
that would be challenging. So from a female's perspective, what style of dating would you say you prefer the most? Online dating, blind dating, good old fashioned meeting someone in a bar or a library or something?
Fucking, it's all the same, really. It just depends on the person you're meeting, however that may be. You know what I mean? Like, I've met lame people on dating apps, and I've met lame people in life, like in real life circumstances, or I've met cool people online dating or in person. I don't have a preference. I do both ways are like, all the ways are exciting or can be.
Okay. Now, what about blind dating? I'm kind of how many blind dates have you been on?
So like where you never saw the person?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I guess I'm misunderstanding. I kind of meshed the online dating with blind dating because it's not like I didn't really know who they were, what they looked like until you see them,
True. So like you didn't like video chat with them.
The same thing.
It pretty much is, yeah. Like you didn't video chat with them or anything. You just saw their profile pictures. That's
yeah.
it. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
Now.
Ever set you up with a date or anything like that? Or?
Huh?
I said, have your friends ever set you up with a date? Like, have they set you up with a guy to go on a date with?
My parents tried doing it recently,
Ooh.
and I didn't go meet the individual.
Ah, okay.
Why is that?
Well, other circumstances, like family drama stuff, so it just didn't happen.
Were you worried about having sex with somebody that your parents set you up with?
Well, I was kind of like, my parents don't have the most functionable or whatever healthy marriage, so I was not about to trust their judgment. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need you guys that much in my business. If it's, whatever. They met somebody and they thought he was of good traits, but
okay.
I wouldn't know.
Well, so what do you look for in a man? Are you first of all, are you straight? Are you bisexual? What's your sexual orientation?
I'm into men only.
Okay, all right. You just have to ask the question nowadays. And so
thank you.
So
and I like when I'm into a guy and he's only into females, if that makes sense.
all right, that's totally understandable.
Okay.
So
I'm not trying to dapple. Okay.
do you specifically look for a set of qualities that are different? Like, so if you're looking at men online dating, or if you're looking at a guy walking down the street, are they the same set of qualities that you're looking for, or do you find that they're like you hold yourself to a higher standard for online dating, or?
In my head, whether it's online or on the streets, I try to have a high standard.
What is that standard?
Like pursuing men that are available.
Okay.
And number one, because believe it or not, I get pursued by a lot of married people
I believe it.
or people with girlfriends, and so that's been a problem for me, actually, a big problem. So I always am trying to find someone that is available. Hold on, let me get my dog. She was trying to jump up on the couch, and she didn't make it. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So I try to look for available men, first of all, if the question, whatever. What?
No, just listening. I mean, it's funny that like you have to actually like that's the first thing that you have to look for is to make sure they're ready to date you.
Okay. So the first thing would be, am I attracted to them? That would be number one.
What do you
Am
find
I
attractive?
Right. So I'm 5'9", so I like a guy that's taller than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I like dark hair and dark eyes. And I do love facial hair. And so if they're, tall and strong looking and dark features like that, I like it.
Okay. Very
okay.
nice.
What'd you say?
I think he just coughed.
Yeah, I was just coughing.
I did too.
Okay.
Okay.
What would you say, like, some of the pros and cons of online dating are? Like, do you think that the cons outweigh the pros, or do you think it's?
I've had shitty dating in general, so I think the pros are that you can speed date in a way, and you can kind of like toss and like decide yes or no in pretty short periods of time.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to feel committed or feel bad necessarily, because I tend to like feel bad for people, and then I put their needs before mine. So,
So
it's
you
kind
consider
of nice
yourself an empathetic person?
Yes.
Oh, very nice.
And sympathetic for those that I can't directly relate to in that way. Oh yeah. So okay. You guys.
I have a question I'd like to ask you. So before online dating, how were you primarily dating? Was it just meeting people like at the store or at, the library or at bars?
Library. You guys are funny. So I dated people that I met at work or through social circles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I've dated a couple people that I worked with, and probably won't try to do that again.
What's your longest relationship?
3 years.
Oh wow, okay.
Okay. All right.
And did you meet that person through an online app, or did you meet that person through a social circle?
I met them at my work.
Okay. Are zodiac signs important to you? Like, do you look at a guy? It's like, oh, this guy's a Capricorn.
I don't put all my eggs in a basket with that, but I do find astrology. I find it interesting, and I have curiosity about it, and I enjoy. I like to humor myself about it, and I do find truth in some of it. Right. I like it. I think it's an interesting piece to the puzzle, Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't choose whether I'm going to date a person based on that ever.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So
have you found? I'm gonna ask this real quick. Have you found like you have a certain connection to certain zodiac signs or anything like that?
Yeah, I could say that I find common grounds with certain
Okay.
signs.
Hmm.
I think it could be true for myself.
Hmm.
Okay. All right.
Interesting.
Like
Nice.
patterns physically and like mentally and stuff, like everything.
So you've said that you've established that you have to physically be attracted to someone. What's the next thing that you look for?
Um, like, are we talking, when you ask me that question, are you saying like in a physical sense or
No, well, so
other way? Like if I had to them and then
for qualities that you
like,
seek, things that you look for, like so obviously you
oh,
said like
look,
physically you have to be attracted to them, which I think most people that's the case. What's like deeper the deeper things that you look for?
I look for like their ambitions and where they stand at this time in their life, accomplishments or goals, aspirations that they may have. Hopefully, they have like some kind of job or career that is going to take them higher, and it's not like a standstill, dead end scenario.
Who's the most famous person you've dated?
Person,
Yes.
famous person I've dated.
Yes.
Or even made out with?
I
and
haven't
kissed?
dated. I don't think anyone was famous.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All
Do you
right.
know something I don't know?
No.
Yes.
I don't-
Yes, we do.
I don't think I can't recall somebody famous, and if I do remember, I'll let you know.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure you'd remember if you did, but that's okay.
Thanks a lot.
No, it's okay. I haven't dated anyone famous or anything like that, but I've dated women that have dated people that are famous. Actually, do you watch football at all?
No, not really.
No.
Sorry.
Okay. One, you watch football, so you'd know this.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was interesting. Yeah. He's a famous football player. About like modernization of
Yeah.
online dating. Yeah. Okay. So, was it a picture of was your face included in the picture, or did you just was it to somebody random? Excuse me. Was it to somebody random, or was it someone that you had been talking to for a while?
I mean, I've done all of the above.
Really?
People I've talked to, people. I guess so. Yeah. I mean, okay. I'm careful about who I send pictures to if it has my face with my body.
Okay.
That answers your question.
Sure. Well, so like, have you ever like, what's the most risque picture you've ever sent?
I've taken many shots and angles of my entire body and sent them.
Or let's just be really direct. Have you ever sent your vagina to someone?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna guess that actually.
Okay. All right. Okay. And that again, you don't have to answer these questions if you don't want to.
Absolutely.
But have you like the person that you sent your vagina to? Was it someone you were dating, or was it just a random person?
Someone I was dating.
Okay, so like a little bit more intimate type of a thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever sent your your butthole to him as well?
More than likely.
Okay, good. That's the reason why I ask is I met this girl one time in a bar, and we never really hung out. Actually, she had my Facebook account. She friend requested me and stuff, and we never even actually met up for a date ever officially. But she would send me these pictures, like really like pornographic photos, like of almost like of the inside of her vagina, like pictures
Wow.
where like she'd send me these photos and I'd be like, who took that picture? There's no way that you could have taken that picture, that angle right there. Like, how did you get that? You know, like.
What does she have, like an endoscopic camera?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Like,
She wanted you to cure her of her disease.
yeah, can you check this out? Has anyone ever taken a picture of you nude?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, really? Interesting. Cool.
She believes so.
So, were you
It
kind of
was
like?
probably not current. Like, I think it may have been, yes, but it was with like boyfriends, ex-boyfriends,
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Cool. Interesting. Cool stuff.
not with just casual.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this question, but have you ever gotten a nude photo from a man or like a dick pic or anything?
Yes, all the time.
Okay. And so I'm judging from your response that they're not flattering pictures or good pictures.
She's not amused. She is not amused.
Well, there's one person in particular that I met on Tinder that has a very attractive physique, very, very good looking.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not sexually motivated by him like he was by me, and so he constantly wanted to send me Snapchats and video pictures of his dick and his body all the time. Constantly asked me to come over and have sex with him and how I have like the perfect pussy and all this stuff.
Wow.
And I then was with one of my gay friends that I've known since kindergarten, and I was like, you would really like this guy. Here, you look at him. Because I was like, I wasn't into him. And yeah, I can appreciate that he has a very, very nice body, but if I'm not into you, then I could care less to see even your eye candy. I was very turned off by all of it, and so I ended up divvying. I was totally fine with it, and I came to find out that he was a bisexual.
Oh, so it worked out both ways.
I then,
Wow.
Pun intended.
yeah, so then I kind of realized, I was like,
Wow.
that's why, that is one of the reasons now it makes sense that I didn't like him, is because he was very sexual in a way that was too, it was just too up in your face, and I didn't find him sexy.
Okay.
And he would send,
Like it didn't seem intimate to him at all. Like it seemed like it was just a thing to do.
yeah, like, yeah. And another thing, which this is total off topic, but that type of like just right in your face, and it doesn't seem like anything. It seems it's like their job to be this sex thing. I hate when a guy takes all his clothes off and he doesn't leave anything for you to take off. Like, of him.
Okay.
Like, don't just, it's like, please, I get you have a nice body under there, but can I participate? Does that make sense?
We should wear suits, is what you're saying? Like, we should wear a
suit so that we can take it off of you.
Article by article.
All right. I'm a very sensuous, sexual, it all has to be in the right way. I'm just not into that, like, overly sexual, I don't know.
Porno style sex.
I mean, I can get kinky, but I don't know. There's just a certain tone, you know? I don't know if that makes sense.
Right. You want to feel like you're valued. Like it's not just like an act.
I mean, yeah, like not that he made me feel like he's super into me, and he constantly, it's been like months, and he still tries to hit me up, but I don't engage in that, you know, like it's not like he didn't make me feel special, but
have you ever
kind of.
So we're definitely we definitely understand each other on the D pics, but let me ask you this: have you ever gotten a D pic where you're like, wow, I would like that? right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it has to be like this. Okay. Let me just tell you something that I've enjoyed seeing. I've enjoyed seeing like short video of like a guy like with his hand on his dick, like kind of stroking it, not just a picture of him with his dick out.
Okay.
Like I kind of like the hand and the motion, like watching that, but not like full on. Like I don't have to watch you masturbate. It just like a little.
Just a little.
Midget of a visual, like, you know what I mean?
A cutscene. You want a cutscene?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you want a GIF?
You want a dick meme?
I want a Giphy. Yeah.
A dick meme. Okay.
But like a hot dick, not just any dick.
So what goes into your opinion of a hot dick? How would you describe a hot dick?
On the larger side.
Okay.
Wow. Alright.
I mean, you know, something that's gonna work well, hopefully. If the color is nice, I guess.
Okay. Like, are you into a specific shape, or like what color? Like, do you like? Do you like how big is big and how big is too big, or how big is too small?
Well, if it's proportionate with your body, that's nice.
Okay.
So if you're like a tall guy, hopefully you have a big dick. If you're a shorter guy, hopefully you still have a big dick. I like, yeah, the shape. Some of them have like that foreskin.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Okay. So you're not dating any Jewish men, is what you're saying.
Okay. Sometimes they have their skin still, and I'm not into that.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'm not offending anybody out there. I apologize.
No, this is what you're attracted to. I don't know why anyone would be offended.
Everyone's like, "Fuck you." A dick that gets hard is always nice.
Okay, very good.
Very good.
Have you ever seen one where you're like,
Working equipment.
yeah, like it's got to be working? Okay, that makes sense.
Right. Can't have ED.
It needs to work.
Have you
Have
ever
I ever seen one?
Have you ever seen one that was like, holy shit, I'm going nowhere near that. That's just like way too big.
I mean, there's one in particular that I guess so. I'm like, never again.
Okay. Because it was just too
I
big.
mean, I haven't really come across any that were like fuck nasty, or there was like something to be feared. You know, but there were definitely some where they just didn't have what it took, or whatever.
Oh, I see. Okay. Interesting.
I see. Okay.
Have you ever
Okay.
had a threesome?
No.
No. Okay.
Have you ever considered a threesome?
I mean, who doesn't consider it, right?
Right.
I sex with like more than one person at the same time, but
Okay.
at this point in my life, like I'm just kind of like just one person is cool for me.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, boys.
No, that's outstanding.
Yeah, actually, I mean, it's like sex is an intimate thing, and it's an intimate act. Like
Yeah.
you're literally inside of someone. You know, I mean, it's about as close, you know, to a person as you can actually get. And
Yeah.
you know, so I mean, when you introduce another person, I think it turns from intimate to act. It just turns into a
Yeah.
performance. But
Thank you. That's perfectly said. Yeah.
which is totally okay. I'm not. It's just, you know, it is for some people. It's not the thing for other people.
Yeah. I mean, if that's what you're looking for, go for it.
Right, right.
Right.
So I have a question. So um, would you elaborate on the sites that the online dating sites that you have liked, and some of the qualities that you've disliked about the actual online dating sites? And then a follow-up question to that is, would you consider dating a skill? Like, are some people just good at dating, some people are bad at dating, and is it an acquired skill if it is a skill?
All right, hold on. You're gonna have to ask me one of those at a time.
Okay, so what's your least
was-
and most favorite dating site?
My least favorite was Zeus.
Okay, just because of how weird it was.
Just millions of creepy men talking to you or trying to talk to you, and you constantly just being like, delete, 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 delete.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
Interesting. And your favorite?
I'm not kidding. So Tinder and Bumble have been cool because I guess I've met the majority of the cool people on there. I mean, they all suck in their own way. Honestly, well, I've deleted all of them. I deleted all of them except for Bumble, like a couple.
Well, folks, looks like we're having some technical difficulties with the interview right now. But what we'll do is we'll post the rest of the interview. If you're interested, you can listen to that interview as a solo piece. But I know, speaking for myself, that's one of my favorite things that we've done so far is that that interview. I was cracking up during many times through many of the questions, and her responses were absolutely hilarious too. What about you, Bray One? Did you enjoy that interview? Sounds like we've lost Bray One.
No, I'm right here, man. I'm right here.
Oh, you there? Okay. Yeah. What were your thoughts on the interview with Summer?
Oh, I loved it. It was a good interview. You know, she was very fun to interview. Very informative.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's good to get a woman's perspective on the whole online dating thing. You know.
Very true. I agree. Well, like I said, though, we'll go ahead and post that interview so you could actually listen to it in its completed form. Was there anything that you wanted to add to the online dating?
No, not really. I mean, we already discussed our opinions on that and everything. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about yourself?
No, yeah, I think everything was said that needed to be said, and yeah, it's a very interesting thing. We hopefully any listeners out there will contact us and possibly discuss some of their experiences, and if it's an interesting story and you want us to share it with the audience, we would be more than willing to discuss or relay information from a user to our audience. Um, but yeah, drop us a line. You can reach us at qualitybraidtime@gmail.com. You can also reach us at qualitybraidtime2, that's the number 2, @gmail.com. We're pretty good about responding to emails, so we look forward to some of your feedback. Very nice.
I agree. I agree. I mean, if you guys want to contact us, shoot us an email, and hey, we're smile. You know, if you want to get on one of our shows with us, shoot us an email so we can set something up.
I agree.
Yeah, if you have something interesting you want to discuss, and look here, it could be anything. I mean, it could range from online dating to the paranormal to creativity, whatever, science, engineering, music, whatever, you know.
That's right. It's all in the intro.
Absolutely. Just shoot us an email and talk to us, and we'll figure something out. You know.
Very true. Very true.
Or maybe you want to hang out with the Braves. You know.
Hey, I think we're pretty cool
like
guys.
us.
That's a good idea.
Oh, we're cool, man. Come on, we're awesome. We're above that. We're
True.
beyond cool. You know.
You're right.
But I mean, like, maybe they just want to shoot the crap with us, you know. And we could just have a live stream about nothing or whatever, you know.
True.
We just
I agree.
all hang out.
I agree. 100%.
You don't have to be American or anything like that. You could be from a foreign country, whatever, you know.
Yeah. One of those European countries over there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, over there in Europe.
Yeah.
Or, you know, Asia or Africa or South America or Australia.
I'd love to talk to some Australian people.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Them and Russians. I'd love to talk to some Russians. The Russians are wild people.
I know. I think that'd be a lot of fun too. You know. Well, we'll see. I mean, but hey, you have our email address, so you know, definitely feel free to contact us. You can also drop a comment on one of our videos as well, and we'll definitely check it out. You know.
That's right. That's right. All right.
Yeah.
Well, if
since we just mentioned that, let me mention that we have other videos on our channel. We have product reviews. We have a couple of rants. Just where Uno and Bray won. We just ran about something off the top of our heads. So check those out as well. Of course, we have 2 other live streams we did earlier. One in December and then one, I don't know, a few months ago. Check those out as well.
We are expanding. We're constantly coming up with new ideas and new segments, and we look forward to some of your feedback too.
Absolutely.
So this is a channel where your voice can be heard. Absolutely.
It can be, especially because we're still a pretty small channel. So anyone who contacts us, you're gonna be the center of attention.
That's right.
Absolutely. We're warning you that one day it may not be that case. We might explode.
One day soon, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Become superstars, podcast superstars.
Yep. Absolutely.
Absolutely. But other than that, man, I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah, I think if that's everything, we can go ahead and play our outro, and we will see you all next time. We look forward to it, and until then, peace to all, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, y'all have a good night. Take it easy. Thanks for hanging out with the Brady's.
From conspiracy theories, the paranormal, health and wellness, politics,
engineering and technology, fun, entertainment, and so on. Let's start the show.